Zeke, the trashiest, shortest, motherless, and weakest in the family, stood against Leo, this freckled fag who they say is a prodigy and that in the past life folded our boy until he begged to stop hitting so hard like a good girl. But now Zeke knows this dude pulled some strings to make this duel happen so he could humiliate him because he has direct bloodline with the main family, even though they are cousins. In his past life, he couldn't even compete with the 4 menaces of the main family, but he was constantly bullied by the 12 cousins, one of them being Freckles. Zeke, you haven't learned your lesson. Trash like you shouldn't come up here. But our boy shrugs and then replies that he will rearrange Leo's face if he says something like that again. The guy just gives him a head pat saying that a short trash like him has no chance in this family. Boom, suddenly bro just got hit by a critical strike. Freckles' bitch is agonizing with pain, while the organizer shouts that he hadn't announced the start of the fight. Zeke just replies that no one shouts ready in a battlefield. Dude took one because he was distracted. The referee feels a chill with that Lil nigga bloodlust. Then Freckles tells him that it's fine. He will show why Zeke is an inferior piece of trash. Fight starts, and Freckles rushes. He feels some punches but is confused since Zeke's attacks were doing 0 damage. Sure, he just took damage because his guard was low. Right there, he notices Zeke closing his left fist, and damn bro went to give him I don't think things will show what he's capable. Since the kids had no choice but to fight with all they had, and there was the little menace about to fold Freckles while everyone just laughed saying he was a poor loser. So pathetic no one could believe he had direct bloodline. Now fast forward after Brow dropped the first body and called everyone to throw hands. But despite our boy absolutely demolishing that last guy, there are still some brain-dead idiots who apparently didn't get the lesson. And the biggest idiot of them all? This clown is named Jekken Vartak. This dude steps up all confident challenging Zeke to a match. He's practically vibrating with cockiness, ready to prove he's built different. But Zeke? Man's just standing there looking bored as hell. Like, really? Just you? So you know what our boy does? He straight up tells Jekken, bro, you're gonna need backup for this to even be entertaining. And then he calls out another student by name, Liam Stone, who's Jekken's personal bodyguard. Zeke's basically saying, you're so trash you need a 2v1 just to make this interesting for me. Jekken's ego is shattered. The thought of needing help to beat Zeke is the ultimate humiliation, and he's absolutely not having it. But Zeke keeps poking the bear, talking that good shit, and now Jekken's seeing red, ready to shut him up permanently. As they step into the arena, the instructor gives Zeke this death glare and warns him, don't you dare move before I give the signal. Zeke just smirks because guess what? Jekken actually did bring his servant along after all, which makes this even more fun. Now here's the thing about Liam in his past life. This dude was an absolute legend. We're talking the mercenary king level of badass. Back in the day, he served under Jekken and enrolled in the Cradle Academy, but since he was just some distant relative, nobody gave a damn about his education. So the guy begged and pleaded for a chance to study at Academy Valhalla, but ended up in the Night Order of some tiny-ass nation called Baron instead. When Baron got wiped off the map, Liam became a mercenary, and in those chaotic times, strength attracted followers like crazy. With years of battlefield experience under his belt, he rose to fame as a Red Knight, and eventually founded the Stone Mercenaries. The man united the 3 biggest mercenary factions and earned his title as the Mercenary King fair and square. Later, when the Empire hired his crew, Liam entered the Continental Wars, where he became one of the Northerners' worst nightmares. But this time around, Zeke's determined to change that story completely. The second the instructor gives the signal, Jaekin charges forward, throwing this massive punch that literally disturbs the air around it. But Zeke doesn't even blink. He catches that shit with one hand like it's nothing. Jaekin yanks his hand back and tries a kick instead, but oh man, this backfires spectacularly. The moment his leg connects, pain shoots through him. He hit Zeke's reinforced barrier around his elbow and basically damaged himself. Before he can even process what just happened, Zeke's already charging in, his fist glowing with an activated skill, ready to end this man's whole career. Jaekin panics and throws his arms over his face to block, but here's the thing. Zeke was never aiming for his face. Our boy goes straight for that already injured leg and delivers a brutal blow. And before Jaekin can even scream, Zeke follows up with a crushing punch to the ribs that makes him cough up blood. The once cocky fighter is now face-planting the ground, screaming at his sidekick to finish Zeke off immediately. Now it's Liam's turn, and you can feel the shift in the air. This man's radiating straight-up killing intent as he steps forward. The worst part, his reach is insane. If Zeke lets him throw the first punch, this fight could go sideways real quick. So knowing this, Zeke takes the initiative and launches into a rapid assault. He activates a skill called Slash, and moves so fast, he's literally a blur, unleashing this relentless storm of punches. The speed completely messes with Liam's vision, forcing him onto the defensive, the spectators watching from the sidelines, absolutely losing their minds. True despair is washing over them as they witness just how much of an absolute unit Zeke is. They're confused and curious, because in a world where swords are king, a dude who fights with just his fists is practically unheard of. Zeke's technique is undeniably impressive, but it's also taking a serious toll on his body. But that's not even the biggest problem. The real challenge is Liam's monstrous physique. This man's just standing there with his guard up, tanking every single hit. If he's this resilient now, imagine how terrifying he must have been when he ruled as the mercenary king. Realizing his attacks aren't making enough of a dent, Zeke decides to go all in. He channels everything into one final devastating strike, one that'll break through Liam's defense no matter what. But just as he launches it, Liam dodges it with ease. He just redirects the strike like swatting a fly. The sheer audacity pisses Zeke off. Before he can react, Liam seizes the opening and hoists him high into the air, about to slam him into the ground, but Zeke refuses to go down without a fight. Thinking fast, he delivers a sharp strike to Liam's head, and his class skill heightened sense activates, letting him capitalize on the moment. In an instant, he locks his legs around Liam's neck in a chokehold, cutting off his air supply. Because no matter how absurdly strong you are, you can't fight if oxygen isn't reaching your brain. But Zeke underestimated his opponent because instead of going down, Liam decided to reshape our boy's face with countless punches. But Zeke's plan worked eventually. Liam's strength started to fade. His movements got sluggish, and at last he collapsed, and the crowd can't believe what just happened. Everyone is terrified of our boy, well except this crackhead, who for some reason is now more pumped to fight our boy. So a few hours later, our boy's chilling in his room, when his butler walks in already having heard the tea about the match. This old man immediately goes into worried parent mode, asking if Zeke's okay, but Zeke just brushes him off like, bro, I'm fine, relax. But the butler's not having it. He straight up ignores Zeke and insists on checking his pulse anyway. Now Zeke's no idiot, he knows exactly what this sneaky bastard is really up to. This isn't just a wellness check. Homeboy's trying to see if Zeke's awakened his aura yet. So Zeke extends his hand and the servant channels this stream of blue energy into him. The second Zeke sees it, he does a full double take. Hold up, is this random butler a blue knight? Because imbuing someone else with aura is already hard as hell, but controlling it with this much precision, that's next level stuff. If this old man really is a blue knight, that raises one massive question. What the hell is someone of his caliber doing playing house servant? Quick breakdown of the knight hierarchy. So you're not confused, white swordsmen are the bottom tier. Basically kids before they get their blessing ritual. Yellow swordsmen are newbies who just awaken their aura. Then you got purple knights who can reinforce their swords with aura. Blue knights who can manifest actual aura blades. Red knights who've transcended their limits. This is what both Liam and Zeke hit before the regression. And finally black knights who are basically mythical legends. There's only a handful of them in the entire continent. So yeah, having a blue knight as your personal babysitter is absolutely wild. After finishing his little examination, the old man goes all serious and asks, is there something you're hiding? Zeke doesn't even flinch. My boy keeps his poker face on and flips the question right back at him. Do you know something I don't? Before things get too intense, Zeke laughs it off and says he was joking, but the butler can't help himself and asks, why have you changed so much? That question makes Zeke stop in his tracks. He turns around with those sharp-ass eyes and hits him with, you're asking the wrong question. Instead of asking why I've changed now, ask why it took me so damn long to change in the first place. Then our boy tells him this is just the beginning. There are way more surprises coming, so instead of losing his mind every 5 seconds, just shut up and follow orders. The servant bows and reports that the training room Zeke requested is ready. On his way to the training hall, Zeke's brain is working overtime trying to figure out who ordered his butler to spy on him. But whatever, he's going to use this situation to his advantage. Keep the old man close, manipulate him, and squeeze out whatever info he needs. It's probably not anyone from his mom's side since they wouldn't dare, which means it's gotta be one of his siblings pulling strings. When he walks into the training room, Zeke's actually stunned for a second because this place is ridiculously fancy. Before getting started, he decides to check the system. With one command, the panel pops up in front of him. Right off the bat, he notices his slash skill hit proficiency level. Must have leveled up from spamming it during the fight. Then his eyes land on the draconian skill, but it's locked, and locking it needs 10 karma points, and he's sitting at a big fat 0. A system message pops up saying he can earn karma points by killing monsters in dungeons. Well, he can't do that unless he's a purple knight, so that's out of the question for now. Plus, the thing he's most curious about is his regression, and what the hell is this system? Without more info, there's no point in overthinking it. He grips his sword tight. Whether it's through this system or his Draco bloodline, he's going to use everything to get stronger. It's time for some more info. There are 2 main power systems, aura for knights and mana for mages. Knights refine aura in dungeons, mages build up mana through circles, and as you would expect, if you awaken one path, you permanently lose the other forever. Unlike everyone else in his household, Zeke awakened neither a dantian nor a circle, which basically marked him as a total failure, and got him abandoned. After getting tossed aside, he wandered around until he met his master, who taught him the Ether Hall technique, a way to harness nature's energy called ether. To this day, only he and his master can use it, which makes him pretty unique. After 2 hours of non-stop training, Zeke's about to collapse when his class skills healing and vigor recovery suddenly activate. Now healing is crazy rare, and if anyone saw him using it, they'd immediately label him as some kind of freak. That's exactly why he didn't use it against Liam. He only healed himself once. He was safely back in his room. With his body fully restored, he goes right back to grinding. By the time dawn rolls around, the entire training hall looks like a war zone. A week flies by, and inside the Cradle cafeteria, students are gossiping about how Zeke's like a completely different person. Since he was born a loser in their eyes, their only explanation is black magic or demon possession or some wild shit like that. Meanwhile, in a private lounge, the Academy's elite are having dinner together. First up is Reina Tarun eating in silence. Next to her sits Owen Zimmons looking all calm and proper, and across from him is Jekken, still beat up but loud as ever. Owen tells Jekken to eat properly since he's got a swordsmanship duel coming up, but Jekken slams his fist on the table so hard his steak literally flies off and hits the ground. The impact also makes Reina's steak jump off her plate, which instantly pisses her off. Her death glare alone makes Jekken freeze up. All 4 of these students have one thing in common: they absolutely hate Zeke's guts. But even with their shared hatred, it's obvious they don't actually like each other either. The only thing keeping this toxic friend group together is their mutual grudge against him. Owen admits Zeke was impressive during pancreation, but he's convinced that in swordsmanship, Zeke's going to be absolute trash. After all, the dude doesn't even know how to hold a sword properly. One of them brings up how pathetic he must be. The man needed a customized sword because standard ones were too heavy for his weak ass. Jekken still can't wrap his head around losing to that inferior piece of trash. He refuses to believe Zeke won through actual skill. It had to be dumb luck. But Reina doesn't buy into their delusions. She looks at them with those cold eyes and says, "If you idiots actually believe that nonsense, then none of you deserve to be knights of the Draker household." Now, if you're sitting there wondering why these clowns were so confident Zeke would get destroyed in swordsmanship, let me give you some context. Unlike pancreation, where things are somewhat controlled, sword duels are fought with real weapons, which is exactly why they're the #1 cause of injuries at this academy. This is where the skill gap becomes painfully obvious, and weak fighters get exposed real quick. A month after these finals, the blessing ritual will go down. That's when Drokers awaken their aura. Until then, these duels are the ultimate proving ground. The day finally arrives and the instructor calls Zeke forward. Our boy steps into the arena without hesitation, casually resting this massive sword over his shoulder. This blade is so ridiculously big that the crowd immediately bursts out laughing, thinking this has to be some kind of joke. To them, it's obvious what's happening. Zeke's one of those idiots who thinks bigger equals better, that the sheer size will somehow give him an advantage. From the other side, Reina steps up, fully pumped and ready to go. With this dramatic-ass motion, she throws down the gauntlet, officially challenging Zeke. He accepts without even thinking twice, but something about him throws her off. Watching him effortlessly lift that massive claymore, she realizes this isn't the same pathetic Zeke she remembers. The old Zeke could barely hold a sword without embarrassing himself, but now, his whole presence is different, sharper, more intense. For just a split second, she actually feels intimidated, which immediately pisses her off. She's disgusted with herself for even having that thought, but she already issued the challenge, and is backing down now. That's not happening. Meanwhile, Zeke's also feeling the pressure because his usual bag of tricks won't cut it here. This isn't just some random duel, this is a fight against the future Lightning Knight, and that's genuinely scary. In her past life, Reina Tarun became an absolute legend during the Continental Wars, earning her spot as one of the strongest warriors of her generation. Unlike most people, she awakened her aura years before the blessing ritual, a feat that put her in a completely different league. Even though she has this rare gift, she never used her aura inside Cradle, choosing instead to master the fundamentals like a true warrior. But that doesn't make her any less dangerous. The duel kicks off, and their swords crash together in a shower of sparks, neither one backing down. After that first clash, Reina quickly steps back before charging in again. With one powerful strike, she forces Zeke to slide backward. That one exchange tells him everything he needs to know. She's even better than he expected. Without wasting a second, Reina lunges again, her blade moving at insane speed. each swing crackling through the air like lightning. In the background, her so-called allies are getting impatient, yelling, "Just finish this loser already." But one guy who's actually paying attention shuts them down real quick. "You idiots need to open your eyes." She's not the one pushing him back, he's pushing her. From Reina's perspective, she can clearly see openings in Zeke's defense, weak spots she should be exploiting. But every single time she moves to strike those gaps, her attack gets blocked. And that's what's pissing her off the most. It's like this isn't even a real duel to him, it's a damn training session. Every time she lands a hit, he creates another opening, basically inviting her to attack again, challenging her to actually break through his defense. After several intense exchanges, she steps back, breathing heavily and exhausted. But Zeke, man's not even remotely tired. In fact, he looks straight up bored. She's fighting with everything she's got, holding back her aura to rely purely on skill, which is exactly what he expected from someone obsessed with mastering the basics. But now he decides it's time to help her break out of her comfort zone. Zeke dramatically lowers his stance, making it look like he's about to explosively close the distance. Reina, confident in her speed, doesn't think much of it. She's sure that maintaining distance will let her react in time to whatever he's planning. But in literally the blink of an eye, Zeke closes the gap completely, and suddenly he's right up in her face. Before her brain can even process what just happened, he swings that massive sword with enough force to crack the ground beneath them, sending shockwaves rippling through the entire arena. Still, Reina holds on to her strategy. As long as there's space between them, she can counter his attacks. Then Zeke swings his sword through completely empty air. At first, it looks like a total whiff, a complete miss, but that wasn't the point. The sheer force of the swing sends debris flying straight into her face, smacking her right in the nose and leaving it bruised and bloody. The second she flinches from the impact, Zeke charges in with his sword aimed directly at her and stops just centimeters from her neck. In that moment, she's absolutely certain this is it. She's done. Game over. But then something completely unexpected happens. Zeke's sword suddenly flies out of his hands, landing several feet away. The crowd absolutely loses their minds, declaring him the loser and celebrating Reina's victory, without her even needing to use her aura. But one person isn't buying any of this bullshit. The instructor clearly saw what happened. He caught her using aura even though it was super faint. She definitely used it, but these clueless idiots in the crowd didn't notice a damn thing. Here's what went down. As Zeke's blade got way too close for comfort, Reina instinctively let out this tiny burst of aura, barely there but enough. Now why does this matter? Because Reina literally swore on her honor that she wouldn't touch her aura until she officially got into the academy, and Zeke just forced her to break that promise. She just stands there for a second, completely frozen, with doubt and regret all over her face. Then out of nowhere, Zeke rushes at her again. Before she can even think about what's happening, his fist connects straight to her throat. She starts choking immediately, dropping to her knees as blood starts dripping from her mouth. The crowd lost their absolute minds and started cursing. "Our boy, yo, this was a sword duel. That's straight up a cheap shot. This dude's got no shame." Everyone flips on Zeke instantly, pointing fingers and talking mad shit. But my boy doesn't even bat an eye. He's completely unbothered by all the hate and just calmly looks down at Reina and goes, "So are you trying to keep going or what?" Reina's still struggling to even stand up properly, but she's stubborn as hell and insists she didn't lose, saying the only reason he got that hit in was because she wasn't paying attention. But then reality smacks her in the face. If Zeke had a knife in his hand instead of his bare fist, she'd be straight up dead right now. 6 feet under. That thought alone makes everything click. With some actual respect for once, she admits defeat. The same crowd that was clowning Zeke and calling him human garbage literally seconds ago, now they're all standing there in complete shock, mouths hanging open. Zeke Draker, the guy they've been calling the family disgrace and absolute trash, just won clean as hell. And he didn't beat some random nobody either. He just bodied Reina to run, the future Lightning Knight and one of the most talented fighters in their generation. So we cut to Abel's castle, and everything's a mess. The town's on fire, people are bleeding out everywhere, and this psychopath is just casually sipping tea. But Abel's not even paying attention to the chaos. He's too busy reading a letter about how Zeke Draker just bodied Reina. He puts down his cup and asks about when the blessing ceremony is happening. Turns out the full moon's still a few weeks away. So Abel decides, you know what? Perfect time to crash the Draker family party. William's standing there like, "Bro, you're going alone?" But Abel doesn't give a damn. This renowned swordmaster is hyped to see the youngest Drakers awakening with his own eyes. Meanwhile, everyone else is losing their minds celebrating Zeke's win. Our boy's already back to the grind. He doesn't care about parties or praise, he just goes straight back to training. Days pass, weeks fly by, and boom. A whole month later, it's finally time for the blessing ceremony. But Zeke's still sitting there wondering, how the hell did I become a red knight in my past life with that trash body? After finishing his workout, he pulls up his status window, and sure enough, his mastery skill hits the expert level. But here's where it gets interesting. Every time his skill ranks up, the mastery resets, which means he can keep refining them over and over. Even his swift step skill, the same move he used to demolish Reina, leveled up. He notices his butler, Decker, watching him like a hawk. Decker walks over and tells him it's time to get ready. They're leaving for the blessing ceremony in 2 hours. It's been forever since Zeke visited the Dracker family's main estate in the Duchy of Troy. The family's main crib is at the center of the continent, but the blessing ceremony happens at the legendary Dragon Slayer battleground. When he arrives and steps out of the carriage, he walks into the dragon's nest lair and immediately realizes this isn't some casual family gathering. The room's packed with vibes. We're talking serious, heavy hitters here. Some of them are definitely spies sent just to observe him, but our boys already know how everything is gonna go. But then his confidence evaporates the second he locks eyes with one particular man, someone who makes his blood boil just by existing. It's Abel, shaking hands with some random guest, looking bored as hell. Abel doesn't care about the ceremony itself, except for one thing: his youngest brother. See, the Draker family's second son is known as the Lion Blade, but Zeke knows him by a way more accurate name, the Butchering Knight. Standing face to face with his older brother, Zeke forces himself to stay calm because right now there's jack shit he can do about it. Here's the thing though, in his previous life, Abel never showed up to Zeke's awakening ceremony, which means his actions at the pancration competition changed the timeline. He clenches his fists, frustrated, but then realizes something important. This change might actually be an opportunity. Soon enough, the ceremony kicks off. Aaron's called up first to do the ritual. He walks up without hesitation and sticks his arm into this mystical pool. Immediately, blue energy starts surging through his body. Some elder starts explaining how every Drakkar descendant has their aura sealed until they graduate from the cradle at age 12, and this awakening process is what makes them special. Compared to regular knights who can only awaken in their 20s, the Drakkar bloodline gets this power way earlier. But even among the Drakkar elite, only a few awaken a special trait called mana inhibition, the Dragon Slayer's signature ability. The mana lamps around the pool start flickering like crazy, shooting out red sparks everywhere. That's the sign Aaron just got a pure blood awakening. Knights with mana inhibition can go toe-to-toe with even red and black knights, but there's a catch. Their bodies become so resistant to mana that everyday life becomes a nightmare. They need special gloves made by the Drakkar family just to function normally. Case in point, Rie, who already went through her awakening, is wearing gloves 24/7 now. Once someone proves they're pure blood, they officially become part of the Drakkar family and get unlimited resources, authority, and top-tier training. The crowd starts buzzing because it's finally time for the main event, Zeke Drakkar's awakening. Whispers are flying everywhere. People genuinely believe his awakening is going to surpass even Reyna's. As Zeke steps forward, he gets hit with major deja vu. He stood in this exact spot before. In his past life, this day brought him nothing but shame and humiliation. The blessing ceremony was the only thing that let him stay in the cradle, but the experience left him destroyed. But now, everything's different. He's not weak anymore. He learned to heal, control ether, and actually fight. He built resilience, strength, and the willpower to forge his own path. So as he stands before the bronze statue, he's filled with anticipation, expecting it to grant him something incredible this time. Zeke dips his arm into the pool, and the bronze statue immediately starts shaking violently before suddenly stopping. The entire room goes dead silent. This has never happened before, not once in the entire history of the blessing ceremony. Even Abel looks speechless for a second. Zeke pulls his arm back, and he already knows what happened. Nothing changed. Despite everything, all his effort, all his growth, the results are the same. He let Abel's presence mess with his head and convinced himself this time would be different. But deep down, he knew the truth all along. The crowd erupts into whispers, their initial hype turning into straight-up mockery. The most anticipated candidate just failed to awaken. Sneers spread through the room. A direct descendant of the Drakkar bloodline showing no signs of awakening? It doesn't make sense. The whispers get harsher, some people even start questioning his victory over Reyna, convinced he must have used tricks or cheated somehow. But Zeke, he couldn't give less of a damn. Instead of wasting time worrying about their judgment, he turns his focus inward, determined to find another way to get stronger. Then out of nowhere, the system glitches out and interrupts his thoughts. Like, yo, my bad, we actually forgot some pretty important info about your class identification. Zeke's just standing there like, what? But before he can even wrap his head around what's happening, the system keeps going. Inputs complete now. Terminal identification successful. User talent confirmed, healer. And just like that, power starts flooding through his body. His class finally unlocks for real this time. But then another message pops up out of nowhere. Rare class unlocked. The second that appears, the bronze statue just explodes with light. Not just any light either. Red light, and if you know anything about this world, red light means one thing. Pure blood awakening. The entire chamber lose their damn minds. Everyone's gasping, freaking out, and asking each other how the hell this is even possible. Like this dude just skipped straight to Red Knight status? That's not supposed to happen. The system digs deeper, connecting with something buried deep in Zeke's soul. Turns out it's the ancient dragon's blessing that's been hiding in there this whole time. Meanwhile, Abel's watching all of this go down and his face is completely blank. But wait, there's more, because apparently the system wasn't finished clowning yet. Zeke's existing talents start glowing and merging together, transforming into something completely different. His screen updates one final time, and when he sees the new title, even he's confused. It reads, Unique Class Unlocked, the Immortal. So while our boy's trying to wrap his head around what the hell this new class even is, the whole room's absolutely losing it. People are straight up having mental breakdowns like, wait, wasn't Zeke supposed to be complete garbage? How the hell did this dude pull off a red awakening? Some desperate bastards are trying to convince themselves the statue's busted, but then someone's like, okay, but how do you explain the mana lamps going crazy? They're scrambling for any excuse to call it fake, but even they know they're full of shit. That's when Abel decides it's his time to shine. He starts this slow, mocking clap that just cuts through all the chaos. With the most condescending tone imaginable, he's like, "Why isn't anyone congratulating our newly awakened pureblood?" Everyone knows they're stuck, so one by one the whispers die down and get replaced by this awkward forced applause. Abel demands someone grab gloves for his little brother. Zeke takes them, but he's internally rolling his eyes because he knows damn well he doesn't need this. Without saying a word, he just turns around and walks off. Abel's looking all smug and satisfied, but Zeke, man's absolutely fuming. Out of everyone who could have stepped in, it had to be that bastard Abel. The ceremony shifts into some celebration party, but Zeke wants absolutely nothing to do with it. Just as he's about to dip, someone calls his name. He stops dead in his tracks. Abel casually asks where he's heading, then extends his hand to congratulate him. Look, Zeke hates Abel with every fiber of his being, but rejecting the handshake in front of this whole crowd would start unnecessary beef. So he forces this fake-ass polite smile and reaches out, then freezes. A flash of blood slams into his mind, a memory from his past life. His body reacts before his brain can process it, and he yanks his hand back. This slow, creepy smirk spreads across Abel's face. Well, this is awkward. Looks like my dear little brother just embarrassed me in front of everyone. Zeke's jaw clenches. There's no way in hell he's shaking hands with this monster. Not after everything that went down. But Abel barely gives a shit. With a little wave, he turns away. No worries. I'm sure we'll see each other real soon. Zeke agrees with that. One day he'll face Abel, but it'll be on his own damn terms. Not like this. At the party, all the nobles and warriors are buzzing like crazy. 2 pureblood awakenings in one ceremony? That's literally never happened before. But Zeke's awakening has everyone confused as hell. Nobody's ever seen a golden light pop up. Yet, despite being the main character of the night, Zeke's nowhere to be found. Our boy said screw this, and dipped, choosing peace and quiet over fake-ass small talk with these clowns. He's chilling in some quiet room, finally able to breathe, but something's off. He's not feeling any mana inhibition at all. And if you are wondering why that's a big deal, well, because pureblood awakenings are supposed to completely reject mana, right? That's literally the whole thing. Every pureblood awakener needs those special gloves, since their bodies can't interact with mana-based tools anymore. Yet here's Zeke, completely fine. He takes off his gloves and flexes his fingers. Nothing. Zero resistance. His status window pops up, and he spots the difference immediately. His trait isn't mana inhibition, it's mana reflection. He taps it for the details, and a system window pops up with info, generates a distortion field that nullifies nearby mana. Unlike mana inhibition, this skill isn't passive and doesn't mess with standard mana readings. Oh shit, that explains everything. The mana lamps didn't react to him because he's not rejecting mana, he's literally distorting it. Then there's his class. Before the ceremony, the system had him labeled as some rare class healer. But now, class, the immortal. What the hell does that even mean? None of this adds up. At the graduation ceremony, every single Drake or Awakener came out with a blue aura standard boring results. The only exception was Reyna, who awakened as a red knight. And now there's him with this golden light, a class called the Immortal, and a trait that's not supposed to exist in the first place. Zeke starts putting the pieces together. The system flagged missing information about classification during his awakening. What if the system treated the bronze statue as the classification terminal? The second that missing data got injected, the statue went absolutely crazy. Glowing red and everything. It's all starting to click now. The statue wasn't there to check if someone awakened it, was judging their class the whole time. Red glow means rare class, gold means unique. The statue is some ancient relic that existed way before Tyran, the founder of the whole Draker family. These days class identification isn't even a thing anymore, which is what led to this massive fuck-up. Everyone assumed red light meant pure blood awakening, but nah, it actually meant rare class. Even the current head of the clan has no clue about this. Zeke notices something else. He got 100 karma points during the ceremony. He doesn't waste a second and buys the draconian skill. Knowledge just floods into his brain. He gets several beginner abilities. Dragon Eyes, Might of the Dragon, and Devour. The first two make sense, but Devour only helps with digestion, which sounds useless as hell. Might of the Dragon needs aura to work, making it way too risky right now, so he tests Dragon Eyes first. At first glance, nothing seems different, until he looks outside. Staring at the statue in the garden, he realizes the skill cranks up his vision like crazy. But that's not even the best part. He can pull up detailed information about anything he looks at. Data just rushes through his head, showing him intricate details about the statue's composition and everything. But the sheer amount of information completely fries his brain, leaving him drained. If every use comes with this kind of drawback, he's going to have to be real careful with it. Thankfully, his body's natural healing kicks in on autopilot. He didn't even try to activate it, it just happened. Checking the system again, he finds another surprise. All his class skills converted into passive abilities and already leveled up on their own. His healing factor evolved too. It now repairs his body automatically without him having to do anything. While it seems overpowered as hell, it's not unlimited, otherwise he wouldn't have died in his past life. To test it out, he grabs a blade and lightly cuts his arm. Within seconds, the wound just vanishes without leaving a single trace. Then a smile appears on his face. He knows how broken this ability is. Well, just to put it into perspective, it's so broken that now our boy thinks that he can graduate from the academy in 2 years, which usually takes 5, and for good reasons. The Drakkar Academy is basically the Harvard of night schools. Everyone and their mom wants to get in. Every semester, Troy City gets flooded with fresh meat, hoping to make it big. Our boy Zeke's walking through campus, sizing everyone up. And yeah, the upperclassmen are walking around like they own the place, acting all mature and capable. But compared to the absolute monsters from the cradle, these kids are just trust fund babies playing dress-up with swords. Zeke's looking at all this, thinking, man, my family is seriously fucked up. Now let me break down the power structure real quick. There are 3 main branch families backing the Drakkar lineage, and they're kind of a big deal. First up, you got the Turun family. These guys are all about that raw strength, and that's Reyna's squad. Then there's the Zimmons family, the big brain nerds who run on wisdom and strategy. And finally, the Vardek, the Lannisters of this fantasy world. All their heirs are at the academy, but Zeke couldn't care less about any of them. Cut to this fancy-ass dorm called Platinum Mansion. We're talking top-tier training halls, libraries, and facilities. But those fancy things are for the peasants. The pure-blood awakeners like Zeke get the VIP treatment, with the title of Floor Master, which basically means they run the whole platinum floor. When Zeke rolls up, some maid greets him and takes him to his area, where there's already a crowd waiting. Man's already exhausted just looking at them. Despite being this prestigious pure-blood awakener, he immediately gets told that Decker, his butler, needs to see him in another room. So he's like, what does this guy want now? Decker shows him some premium gloves, the same ones he got when he first awakened. Zeke's already got a new pair though, so he's not impressed. What he really wants is a sword. Decker's totally on board with this because Troy's right next to some mountain ranges that are basically treasure troves of high-quality iron, and the craftsmen there? Absolute legends. These guys are basically the backbone of the Academy's night program. Decker offers to hook him up with a skilled craftsman, but Zeke's like, nah, I got this. He wants to handle it personally, and asks Decker to just set up an appointment. When he drops the name Galleon Halbert, even Decker's like, who the hell is that? This craftsman is so mysterious that literally nobody's heard of him, but Zeke's determined to meet him anyway. Before leaving, Decker reminds him to actually read the Academy documents before class tomorrow, because that might be important. Later that night, Zeke's grinding through his notes when he has this light bulb moment. The entire platinum floor is his, like all of it, which means he's got the perfect space to train his draconian skills without anyone bothering him. Just then a maid enters telling him that Reyna wants him to come to dinner. Zeke's caught off guard but figures why not, free food and all that. When he gets to her floor though, he walks into what looks like a scene straight out of The Godfather. Reyna's there smirking, apologizing for the dramatic setup, but Zeke's just vibing with it. They agree to eat first and talk business later. While they're eating, Zeke's not just chowing down, he's analyzing her. Even during a casual dinner, this girl's channeling aura into her lower abdomen. Our boy immediately connects the dots. She's gunning for Purple Knight status. And if that's the case, it makes total sense why her swordsmanship is already maxed out. In his head, he's thinking she could be doing way more with that kind of potential. By the time they finish, Zeke's low-key impressed and maybe a little intimidated by how much more Reyna ate than him. But now that the food coma's setting in, she's ready to drop the real reason she invited him. Reyna straight up offers him the full backing of the Turun family. Zeke's like, hold up, we're both pure-blood awakeners though? But she shuts that down real quick, telling him he's got it twisted. Sure, being a pure-blood awakener comes with perks. The platinum floor, the prestige, all that good stuff. But while regular students get access to centuries of knowledge, personal instructors, and all these structured training programs, purebloods are basically left to figure shit out on their own. Without proper support, even the most talented awakeners can end up falling behind. To prove her point, she brings up Ebel Drakkar, a pureblood from their family who became a white knight at the youngest age ever recorded. Now he's one of the strongest black knights around, and even he needed the Zimmons family backing him up. Then she drops the bomb. The Turun family patriarch gave her direct orders to extend their full support to Zeke. She's sitting there expecting him to see reason and accept this incredible opportunity. But our boy Zeke, he just calmly says, nah, I'm good. Reyna's absolutely shook. She cannot comprehend how anyone would turn down this kind of deal. Zeke gets up and makes it crystal clear he's not interested in alliances or politics or any of that drama. As far as he's concerned, being a pure-blood awakener is one thing, but all this family politics BS, not his problem. And with that, he just walks out, leaving Reyna sitting there like, did this dude really just reject me? But because Zeke's not a complete asshole, he decides to throw her a bone for the free meal. He tells her that her sword's too powerful, probably because of all those people backing her. But that's not where her real strength is. Her actual talent? Adaptability. Instead of just smashing through opponents with brute force, she should focus on using her fluid movements to redirect attacks, and then strike with one precise hit when the opening appears. If she masters that approach, she'll blast past her current limits easily. Then he dips, leaving Reyna absolutely frustrated. Her whole life, she's been grinding under the weight of her family's legacy of raw strength, training her ass off to live up to the Turun name. But Zeke's actually right. Nobody's ever given her real advice before. Since she was a kid, everyone just called her a genius and left it at that. Praised but never actually guided. And now this random dude just casually dropped some wisdom and walked away like it was nothing. This whole interaction got Reyna rethinking her entire opinion of Zeke Drakkar. Meanwhile, our boy's having his own main character moment. His growth has been absolutely cracked. He trained all night and isn't even slightly tired. With infinite stamina, man's literally built different now, way beyond anything he could have dreamed of in his past life. Back then, this academy was straight up hell for him, but now, he's actually vibing with it, enjoying some rare peace and quiet. Of course, that peace gets shattered real quick. Owen Zimmons, the third son of the Zimmons family, suddenly rolls up on him. And let me tell you about this snake. In Zeke's previous life, Owen was a master manipulator, the kind of scumbag who blackmailed and bullied him non-stop. Just like before, he'd sent Zeke a dinner invitation, and just like before, Zeke left him on red. The weird part? This time, Owen's acting way too friendly, like suspiciously friendly. Zeke immediately knows what invitation he's talking about, and hits him with a sharp comeback. Owen's all, "Why didn't you reply to my message?" And Zeke coolly shoots back that he doesn't give a damn about pointless messages. This blunt response catches the attention of Owen's little sidekick, who thinks Zeke's being unnecessarily rude. But Zeke's not here to play nice. He hits the guy with the classic, "Who the hell are you?" and doesn't even bother remembering his name. As far as Zeke's concerned, this dude's just another bootlicker trying to score points with Owen. Apparently that was enough to make homeboy snap. Without warning, he launches an attack at Zeke, but our boy's ready. He blocks the strike instantly, even though it's got aura manipulation behind it. This clown roars out his name, Durbin, Roswell, declaring himself the mightiest of them all. Zeke can't help but laugh at how absurd this is. This guy isn't even a knight, barely even a cadet, and he's out here acting tough, not wasting another second. Zeke blitzes forward with insane speed and delivers a hook to Durbin's gut. That would make Mike Tyson proud. The impact sends this fool face planting into the ground. Without missing a beat, Zeke casually invites the next Zimmons lackey to step up and get humbled. Owen just walks forward, acting all unimpressed, saying he's not wowed by Zeke flexing his strength. The group eventually leaves, but to Zeke, they're nothing more than a traveling circus act. Now let me break down how Draker Academy actually works. The school's split into two classes. First, you got the normal class. This is for cadets who lack natural talent, but are willing to grind through sheer effort and discipline. It's tough but straightforward. Then there's the special class where the more capable students get to pick their own specialized subjects beyond the basics. This is where all the academy's elites gather, the supposed cream of the crop. Zeke had high expectations for who'd end up here, but as he scans the room, massive disappointment. None of them are particularly impressive. In fact, most of them are just alumni from the Cradle people he already knows. He can't help but joke to himself that this isn't a special class. It's just Cradle Class 2.0. Class finally starts and the instructors got a big announcement. Today they have a special guest, a man who once held the title of Commander-in-Chief of the Empire, a war strategist who 2 decades ago supposedly blocked an imperial invasion through pure tactical brilliance. The man who runs this entire academy is Dean Howard Draker. The room welcomes him with mad enthusiasm. He's a war hero, a symbol of hope, and a tactical mastermind whose name gets praised throughout the Empire. But Zeke knows the real truth. Howard Draker is no hero. He's a fraud. The only reason he saved the Empire was because he leaked critical info to the enemy just to save his own ass. Pure dumb luck. Let him escape unscathed and now he's basking in undeserved glory. Zeke absolutely despises this man. Howard's the reason Zeke got expelled from the academy in his past life. After that, with nowhere to go, he wandered the streets of Troy, completely lost until slave traders grabbed him and sold him to the Southern Cartel. This man's entire existence is a reminder of the worst chapter in Zeke's life, and someday he's going to make him pay for it. For now though, Howard wraps up his speech and the teacher steps in to actually begin the lesson. The cadets get summoned to the arena for an indoor training session, and Zeke's less than thrilled. He's expected to sit through the basics of dragon slaying, something that frustrated the hell out of him in his past life. Back then, he couldn't wield aura and wasted 2 years on what should have taken 3 months max. Their instructor introduces himself as the Rose Knight Drake. The students aren't impressed since they don't recognize his name, but Zeke does. Andre wasn't born into an Awakener bloodline, yet he graduated as Valhalla Academy's valedictorian. His raw talent earned him the prestigious Drake name despite having 0 family ties. In short, this guy's the definition of someone you should worry about. Zeke also remembers that while the special class instructors vary in skill, Andre is infamous for having a terrible attitude. Andre gets straight to business, telling the cadets to draw their swords. His gaze immediately locks onto Zeke's weapon. It's massive compared to everyone else's, yet Zeke's wielding it like it weighs nothing. Andre, unimpressed, calls him into the arena, assuming the oversized sword is just arrogance on display. That's exactly what Zeke wanted. He boldly claims he could defeat the instructor with it, an open provocation that visibly pisses Andre off. The tension gets so thick it actually triggers Zeke's system, activating a mental defense skill. Amused by the challenge, Andre decides to give our boy a practical lesson. He even sets conditions. If Zeke wins, he gets complete freedom in class. To make things fair, Andre promises he'll hold back and won't use aura, and if this rude bastard so much as manages to touch him with his sword, Andre will consider it Zeke's victory. Pull that off and he'll be exempted from all punishments. Plus, you don't have to come to the basic class too. Now look, everyone's expecting our boy to get absolutely bodied by this genius instructor Andre, right? But Zeke knows this dude's weaknesses and is actually confident he can exploit them. The problem, his creepy watchful brother is somewhere in the shadows, and Zeke doesn't want to go full main character mode just yet. So what's the plan? Simple: land one clean cut on Andre's uniform to flex on him, then take the L like a good little cadet and keep his cover intact. The fight starts, and Zeke immediately goes for the throat. But Andre casually deflects it like he's swatting a fly, showing off those fancy Blue Knight skills. But it did nothing, so he switches it up, starts zipping around, attacking from every angle imaginable. But no matter what he does, Andre's blocking everything with annoyingly perfect precision. The other cadets are just standing there with their mouths open, watching Zeke go at it for a full 30 minutes without stopping. But here's where it gets interesting. Andre's starting to struggle. His grip's getting tighter, his blades shaking, and you can see the exhaustion setting in. He's genuinely confused about how Zeke's still moving around, not even breathing hard. Even though Andre's holding back his power, this fight's way harder than it should be. And that's when it hits everyone watching. Pure-blooded Draker Awakeners are just built different, like it's almost unfair how much stamina these freaks have compared to normal people. Meanwhile, Zeke's over here playing 4D chess, exploiting Andre's one fatal flaw, stamina. See, the Draker family's aura cultivation is always active, even when they're sleeping. For someone like Andre who married into the family and isn't a natural-born Draker, suppressing that aura feels wrong and actively weakens him. And our boy Zeke, he's milking this weakness for everything it's worth. Andre blocks another attack, but Zeke refuses to just lose normally. His pride's screaming at him that he can't take this, so he completely changes strategies, stops trying to create openings, and instead goes for an all-or-nothing move that'll force Andre to stop holding back. Suddenly Zeke backflips, then launches forward at absolutely insane speed. It's swift step, some advanced movement technique that cadets shouldn't even know. Andre barely has time to process what's happening before Zeke's already in his blind spot. Then in one fluid motion, Zeke activates Critical Strike, dumping every ounce of power into this one attack. For the first time, Andre hesitates, because what the actual fuck, a cadet shouldn't be pulling off techniques like this. But in that split second before impact, survival instincts kick in, and he channels just a tiny bit of aura into his feet, dodging at lightning speed. Then he immediately counters with Sky Slice, and oh boy, Zeke goes flying across the arena. His sword straight up cracks, and the impact's so severe that even his busted healing factor kicks in. But despite regenerating, his body just says, nah, I'm done, and he face plants onto the arena floor. Andre sheaths his sword, looking pissed off, and officially announces that Zeke's exempt from the class. Then he asks if anyone else wants to challenge him, and after watching Zeke get launched into orbit, yeah, nobody's that stupid. The lesson continues for everyone else, while Zeke gets carried off to the infirmary like a sack of potatoes. Lying in the infirmary bed, Zeke's thinking about the fight. Sure, his original plan to slice Andre's uniform failed spectacularly, but forcing the instructor to actually use his aura, that's an even bigger W. He made Andre acknowledge his strength, which honestly wasn't even part of the plan. That final attack, Sky Slice, was literally the most basic technique in the dragon-slaying arts, but when a Blue Knight amps it up with their power, absolutely devastating. Still, Zeke held his own. His unlimited stamina and broken healing factor kept him standing against someone way above his level, but he knows that's not going to cut it long term. If he wants true freedom, he needs absolute power, the kind where even people above him can't touch him. While he's having this whole internal monologue, some random drunkard stumbles into the room. And I mean stumbles, this man reeks of alcohol and seems weirdly interested in Zeke. What's even more concerning, Zeke never even sensed him coming. The last thing he expected to see in the infirmary was some drunk bastard. But things get even weirder when this dude casually starts shit-talking the Dracker family patriarch. Zeke tries to figure out who this guy is, but the man's too busy chugging more booze like it's water. Then out of nowhere he questions Zeke about his rapid regeneration, clearly aware of his unnatural healing ability. Immediately, alarm bells are going off in Zeke's head. The Academy shouldn't know about this. His system activates mental defense on autopilot. Playing it cool, Zeke acts confused and pretends he has no idea what this weirdo's talking about. But the stranger isn't buying it. Without any warning, he lunges at Zeke with a palm strike, sharp enough to slice clean through the bed. Zeke quickly dodges, now thinking this guy might actually be an assassin sent to kill him. Thinking fast, he whips the bedsheet at this lunatic to blind him, hoping to get some breathing room. But the sense of danger only gets worse, so Zeke says screw it and goes all in. He activates every skill he's got and launches an all-out attack. Yet despite being blinded by the sheet, this man effortlessly catches Zeke's blade mid-swing like it's nothing. But instead of finishing him off, he just smirks and praises Zeke's quick thinking and adaptability. Zeke stumbles back, confused and suspicious about what the man just said. Mercenary? What the hell does he mean by that? Who is this drunk bastard? So now our boy's getting paranoid as hell, thinking, wait, does this drunk bastard know I'm a reincarnator? Meanwhile, the stranger's just staring at him, watching this so-called Draker Knight literally yeet his sword away to save his own skin. The guy scoffs like, yeah, you'd make a way better mercenary than a knight, dumbass. And that's when Zeke realizes this dude sees right through him. And to make things worse, Zeke knows that there is no way he's winning against him. The power gap between them is just so massive. If this man wanted him dead, Zeke wouldn't even get to beg for his life. It'd be instant game over. This dude's at least on par with the Red Knight, maybe even stronger. Then the stranger glances at Zeke's massive claymore and just casually roasts him, saying he probably grabbed that heavy-ass thing from the Academy's discount weapon pile. With Zeke's actual talent level, wielding such a basic sword is straight up wasteful. The way this guy talks, so dismissive yet so spot on, makes Zeke realize something terrifying. This man is way stronger than he initially thought. Before Zeke can spiral further into his existential crisis, Andre walks in, asking our boy why this bastard is here. Zeke's like, bro, do you know who this is? Andre nods, saying that drunk bastard is the garden keeper, Dexter. Zeke's brain is literally blue screening right now. He's wondering how the hell the academy even employs this guy. Meanwhile, Dexter just smirks and asks Andre how he even tracked him down. Andre shrugs, saying he spotted him lurking in the training room earlier. Then he turns to Zeke with zero chill and says, if you're healed up, get the fuck out. And Zeke had no intention of staying there, so he does as he was told and awkwardly starts backing away. But Dexter suddenly stops him, making Zeke an offer if he actually wants to learn something worthwhile, he should swing by the academy's western greenhouse. There's this awkward silence, and then Zeke, being the arrogant bastard he is, just straight up says no, and walks away. After leaving the room, Zeke starts connecting the dots because nothing about this situation makes sense. If this gardener can talk so casually about Arthur, the Draker family patriarch, then there's only one possible explanation. Dexter isn't just some mysterious side character. He's the legendary Duke Draker, the Gale Knight. The realization smacks Zeke in the face like a brick. This is the same absolute madman who once took on an entire kingdom solo. One of the rare knights who can wield martial force. A warrior so chaotic that he allegedly became a Black Knight just because he thought it looked cool. And despite his insane reputation, the guy just vanished and decided to cosplay as a gardener at some random academy. Zeke glances back at Andre, thinking maybe he ended up here because of Dexter too. But honestly, none of that matters to Zeke right now. He's not interested in some basic training montage with starter techniques. If he's going to learn from Dexter, it won't be for small fry moves. It has to be the man's ultimate technique. Cut to the Magic Academy, where Professor Fannin is awkwardly trying to lecture a room full of corpses. Students. Any questions? He asks, fully expecting that no one was paying attention. And yeah, the entire class is either passed out or mentally checked out. It's depressing as hell, but he soldiers on. Then, like a miracle from the heavens, a single hand goes up. It's Zeke asking about the mana energy transfer law Fannin just mentioned. Fannin's whole demeanor does a complete 180. The man's eyes light up. It's been ages since a student actually gave a damn about his class. He eagerly breaks down the concept in detail, making sure Zeke fully understands, probably holding back tears of joy the whole time. After class, the other students are bitching about how theoretical and boring the subject is, treating it like mandatory nap time. But Zeke? He found it ridiculously easy to grasp and now realizes something: this guy Fannin is actually competent as hell. As Zeke's about to leave, Fannin stops him. With genuine emotion, he thanks Zeke for actually being curious and engaged. It's been forever since he's taught a passionate student. He even offers to be available anytime Zeke has questions. Then he drops this bombshell. He's still an alumnus at Deloa Magic University, literally the birthplace of modern magic. That catches Zeke's attention. He hadn't expected this awkward professor to have such a stacked resume. Deciding there's no downside to having a skilled mage in his corner, Zeke accepts. In his mind, mages who are good at math tend to be smart as hell. Better to have a clever magic user as an ally than another stuck-up knight. He figures Fannin might come in handy later. The second Zeke steps outside, his thoughts get interrupted. Dexter's waiting there, and judging by his expression, his patience has completely evaporated. Finally done? Dexter asks, arms crossed, looking annoyed as hell. Before Zeke can even respond, Dexter cuts him off. Why the hell didn't you show up at the greenhouse? Clearly he was expecting Zeke to take the hint when he offered to teach him earlier, but Zeke just shrugs and bluntly repeats himself. He's not interested. Dexter's irritation skyrockets. He starts acting like a whiny child throwing a tantrum, but Zeke stands firm. He acknowledges that Dexter isn't just some random NPC, but he's too focused on his own training grind right now to deal with this. Dexter seems to accept this until he doesn't. Without warning, the man just vanishes from Zeke's sight. Before our boy can even process what just happened, he feels a sharp impact. Everything goes black. When Zeke finally wakes up, he's somewhere completely different. Blinking, he looks around, the western greenhouse, and Dexter's just standing there looking relieved. Finally awake? Zeke crosses his arms deadpan. You realize this is literally kidnapping, right? Dexter, completely unfazed, just shrugs. Yeah, I know. And he smirks, making it crystal clear. He's openly interested in Zeke, and isn't even trying to hide it anymore. Zero patience whatsoever, Zeke thinks. But he's not sticking around for this bullshit. Without hesitation, he activates swift steps and bolts for the exit, or at least tries to. In literally the blink of an eye, Dexter's in front of him, blocking his escape route. Annoyed but not giving up, Zeke makes another run for it, only to fail again. Dexter effortlessly keeps up, shutting down every escape attempt like he's playing with a toddler. Not wanting to be treated like some helpless kid, Zeke switches tactics. With a smirk, he teases, "What is it about me that's got you so obsessed, huh?" Dexter doesn't even hesitate. "That crazy healing ability of yours." Zeke grins. "So that's what this is about." He decides to push it further. "Well then, if you want answers, you'll have to beat them out of me." Dexter vanishes. Zeke tenses, eyes darting everywhere. Where did he? A sword comes whistling through the air, aimed straight at his back. He barely catches it in time. Gripping the weapon, he narrows his eyes. What the hell are you trying to prove? Dexter told him that he's doing what Zeke told him. He wants answers, and if he wants, he can easily beat it out of him. But that would be boring. He lays out the terms. If Zeke can land even one strike on his clothes, he wins. But if he doesn't, he'll have to tell him everything. The scene shifts, and at this point our boy has been throwing hands with Dexter for hours now, and let me tell you, it's not going well. Every punch, every strike, every move, this man dodges it all, like he's got cheat codes enabled. Zeke's got infinite stamina and regeneration, so he just keeps coming back like a Dark Souls boss, but my guy still can't land a single hit. Dexter's starting to notice something's off though. This isn't just some kid with good cardio. Bro's injuries are healing in real time and he refuses to stay down. But Zeke knows what's up. Stamina alone isn't winning this fight. He needs to pull out the big guns. And that's when he remembers Might of the Dragon, this insanely apt skill he's been too scared to use because it's risky as hell. But looking at Dexter, yeah, no more playing it safe. Our boy activates it and immediately his whole vibe changes. Purple energy starts crackling around him, swift steps kicks in, and suddenly he's moving way faster and sharper than before. Dexter notices the upgrade and goes, "Not bad, but I fought faster, trying to stay cool." But then he sees Zeke's eyes, and it's not just determination anymore. There's something absolutely feral in there. Dexter's low-key impressed and decides to humor him by activating a bit of his own aura. Big mistake. The second he does, Zeke unleashes the full might of the dragon and actually catches him off guard. Dexter manages to break Zeke's sword and push him back, but he's genuinely confused because what the hell just happened? Using the dust cloud as cover, Dexter figures Zeke must have used some vision trick and assumes he's hidden now. Wrong. Zeke's got Dragon Eyes active, locks onto him through the smoke, and strikes from behind, finally lands a hit, but then Dexter just vanishes. Like completely disappears. Zeke's standing there like, wait, what? And then it clicks. This must be the Duke's secret move, some teleportation ability that creates wind gusts. That's why they call him the Gale Knight. Before Zeke can process any of this, Dexter appears behind him, calls the fight a draw, and proceeds to absolutely demolish him anyway. The system immediately starts screaming alerts at Zeke, saying his body's hit its limit from skill spam, his consciousness is shutting down, whether he likes it or not, and he passes out on the spot. Cut to hours later, Zeke wakes up in his room. Dexter probably carried him back. He's mad about losing, but also realistic. The Black Knight was always going to win this. He thinks back on his strategy. He kept repeating the same attacks to make Dexter lower his guard, then switched it up last second with the dragon's full power. Even with all that planning, he barely got one hit in, and that move Dexter pulled at the end, definitely his trump card. Zeke's kicking himself for overusing his dragon skills because if he'd stayed conscious longer, he could have learned more. But at least he saw that secret technique in action. The same ridiculous speed and honed physique that helped Andre climb the ranks despite having trash stamina. The real win here, though? Might of the Dragon was strong enough to make a Black Knight hesitate. Against weaker opponents, they're getting cooked. No contest. Then Zeke gets a system notification. Swift steps leveled up. But that's not even the crazy part. His soul developed and he unlocked new system functions he can buy with karma points. He scrolls through and sees a mini-map, inventory, and quest book all available. After checking everything out, he decides to unlock the inventory first. The system explains it's basically magic storage. Think of an item's name or shape and boom, it appears or disappears. Zeke tests it with his claymore. One thought and the sword vanishes into the inventory window. Another thought and it's back in his hand. He thought it'd be basic storage, but this is actually insane. In his past life, he struggled so hard to keep valuable artifacts safe. If only he had this back then. Apparently he can expand the storage with more karma points too. And the wildest part? This whole thing is just a low-rank administrator skill. Man's already wondering what ungodly powers unlock at high rank. Realizing karma points are valuable as hell, Zeke decides to spend them carefully. But before he can plan anything, there's a knock. Dexter walks in with a message, and when he mentions it's from the garden keeper, Zeke smiles. His efforts paid off. Reading the invitation, Dexter tells him he can come back for a rematch whenever. Zeke's hyped because Dexter called their fight a draw before beating his ass, which means there's still a chance to prove himself. Before leaving, Dexter drops one more update. He found the blacksmith Zeke mentioned, but when Zeke asks about setting up an appointment, Dexter awkwardly admits it didn't go well. The blacksmith straight up refused. Zeke's shocked to hear the man's completely given up on forging weapons. The next day, Zeke decides it's time to hit up the blacksmith himself. So there he was, standing at the same shop he used to visit in his past life. The second he sees that busted-up old sign, nostalgia hits him like a truck. He walks in and immediately starts thinking about his legendary sword from back in the day. The Radiance of Graham. That thing was an absolute beast, forged by Galleon, the exact dude he's here to see now. In his past life, this blacksmith made it as a thank you gift for Zeke saving his ass. But Galleon wasn't just some random guy who bangs hammers all day. Nah, man earned the title Blacksmith of the Soul, because he could literally read your soul and craft the perfect weapon, specifically for you. Zeke never questioned it back then. Galleon made exactly what he needed, a sword that could swap ether for aura, which was absolutely cracked. This man was literally called the greatest blacksmith on the entire continent, so seeing him now looking like he crawled out of a dumpster, Zeke shook. Galleon's clearly wasted out of his mind, barely even looks up before telling Zeke to piss off. This isn't a shop for kids, he mumbles. Zeke expected some attitude, sure, but this level of hostility? Something definitely went down before they met in the original timeline. Without even thinking twice, Zeke grabs a bucket of water and straight up drenches this drunk bastard. Galleon shoots up like he got electrocuted, and Zeke's standing there smirking like, "You awake now?" demanding to know why he's getting rejected. The second Galleon actually notices the Drecker logo on our boy's gloves, and his whole energy does a complete 180. The man goes into full panic mode and starts bowing and apologizing, saying he's not worthy to forge weapons anymore. If I can't even create what I want, how the hell am I supposed to make something for others? That's why he stopped taking commissions entirely. Zeke's caught completely off guard. Even someone as legendary as Galleon had a whole mental breakdown arc. In his past life, the blacksmith probably never mentioned this shit, too embarrassed to admit he failed at something. But Zeke doesn't have time for this therapy session. As Galleon keeps spiraling into his feelings, Zeke snaps him out of it. The blacksmith hesitates, then apologizes again for being a dick earlier. Zeke waves it off and demands to see these so-called failed weapons. After a pause, Galleon sighs and leads him to the back. Seeing him like this, Zeke realizes he's got to help this man find himself again or whatever. Stepping into the backyard, Galleon awkwardly apologizes for the mess, but Zeke brushes it off, saying it actually looks pretty cool. As he starts checking out the weapons, Galleon warns him they're still sharp. But when Zeke actually inspects them closer, something surprising hits him. These weapons aren't failures at all. They're just as high quality as the ones Galleon forged back when he was considered the absolute GOAT. He activates Dragon Eyes to look deeper and immediately spots the problem. He turns to Galleon and asks straight up, "You're having issues with your brazier, aren't you?" Galleon looks absolutely stunned. This kid figured it out that fast. Then Zeke points out something else. Galleon's using this unique smelting method where he mixes different metals to create material that's both lighter and stronger. To prove his point, Zeke casually snaps one of the failed swords clean in half. Pathetic durability. The real problem isn't the technique itself, it's the impurities. Galleon isn't removing them properly, which is why the whole structure's weak as hell. The blacksmith is completely speechless. This kid just saw through his entire forging process in literal seconds and identified the exact flaws with zero effort. After a moment of stunned silence, Galleon suddenly speaks up. "I know this might sound weird, but I've got a request." Back inside, he pulls out a blueprint and slaps it right in front of Zeke. The blueprint for the magic brazier. Zeke recognizes it instantly from his past life. This was the exact design that let Galleon perfect his craft. Back then, the blacksmith trusted him enough to share his greatest secret. History's literally repeating itself right now. Zeke examines the design and immediately gets it. If Galleon completes this brazier, his smelting process will be absolutely flawless. But something's off. If you already have the blueprint, why haven't you built it yet? Galleon sighs, "I'm missing the most important component, the magic core, and the commission fee is 10,000 gold coins." Zeke's eyes go wide because that's absolutely insane. For context, even an average family only spends like 10 gold per month. This is 1,000 times that. No wonder it took Galleon a whole decade to reach the top in his past life. Galleon knows his request sounds batshit crazy, but he's desperate as hell since Zeke's a Draker and a pure-blooded awakener. Maybe he can help get the core. In return, the blacksmith makes a bold offer. If Zeke helps him out, he'll forge any weapon he wants, completely free for as long as he lives. Zeke thinks about it and quickly realizes the problem. It's practically impossible. He's not the family's guardian knight, so there's no way he can gather that ridiculous amount of money. But he needs Graham, the Sword of Radiance, which means he's got to find a way somehow. The issue's tied to mana energy laws, and suddenly an idea hits him. A crazy one. Without hesitation, he accepts Galleon's request and takes the blueprint. The blacksmith looks doubtful as hell, but Zeke confidently tells him he knows a mage who might help. As he turns to leave, he orders the blacksmith to stop drinking his life away. Instead of arguing, Galleon suddenly drops to his knees with the best puppy dog eyes you've ever seen, telling our boy that if he truly does this, he'll serve him for life. Cut to the Draker Academy Professional Research Building. Zeke arrives still absolutely fuming. These Mage Tower scumbags set the price outrageously high out of pure greed, and he knows it. Walking through the halls, he remembers Fanon's major was related to this exact field. If he can find Fanon's research lab, he might find a workaround. While searching, something in a nearby alley catches his attention. Some kids getting absolutely demolished by bullies, crying and begging for mercy. The boy's completely powerless to fight back. Zeke grits his teeth. This scene, I've seen it before. His past life flashes before his eyes. This exact situation played out back then too. Clenching his fists in frustration, he changes course and heads straight for the alley. The leader, Leon, sneers down at his victim. "You're worthless," he spits, venting his own frustrations on someone weaker. His anger isn't even about this kid, he's still bitter over losing his physique to Zeke. Taking it out on someone who can't fight back makes him feel in control again. As he stomps the kid's head into the ground, Leon snarls, "That wasn't a real fight, that was a cheap shot. Pure luck." He refuses to believe Zeke has any right to be called a pure-blooded awakener. Seeing this scene, our boy gets pissed and tells these bastards that they better get to their knees if they value their lives. But folks, what do you know, this bastard? Leon still can't accept reality. He's out here doubting whether Zeke's awakening is even legit. But Zeke, man, he's not entertaining this clown's bullshit. His voice gets ice cold as he goes, "Bow down right now or you're done for." And then this absolutely terrifying pressure just washes over the whole alley. Leon straight up freezes like his body just hit pause. Cold sweats pouring down his face because he's feeling this paralyzing fear grip him. He's thinking, why the hell does Zeke feel so scary right now? Just a few months back, this dude was literally a joke, a complete nobody. But standing here now, he's a whole different person. Leon grits his teeth, his pride getting absolutely demolished. He calls Zeke some inferior piece of trash, and orders his goons to jump him all at once, because that's what smart people do, right? Zeke doesn't even break a sweat. Some dude throws a punch at him, but he dodges it easily while giving them one last warning. Then boom, he just starts dismantling the entire squad. The first guy drops instantly. The next one barely processes what's happening before he's eating dirt. Another moron comes flying at Zeke, and our boy just catches him midair and yeets him backward like a bag of trash. In literal seconds, the whole gang is laid out on the ground groaning in pain. Leon's watching this, sweating bullets and thinking, is this really the same Zeke? Our protagonist walks up to him with the cockiest grin you've ever seen and goes, relax, it's only going to hurt for a second. Leon is terrified out of his mind. He stumbles back and pulls out his sword, shouting, stay away from me, I swear I'll cut you if you come closer. With his hands shaking like crazy, Zeke's expression gets dark and he calmly reminds this idiot about the rules. Drawing a weapon inside the training area has some serious consequences. Leon's breath catches because he's so panicked he completely forgot about that. Now he's trapped in his own mess like the dumbass he is. But Zeke doesn't let him off easy. He pulls out his own sword and says that according to Academy law, their fight won't end until one of them is dead. Whoever draws first takes full responsibility for whatever happens. No one's going to blame the other. To make it official, Zeke points at Liam and makes him their witness. Just as he's about to start, Leon completely loses it. This bully drops to his knees and throws all his pride out the window, begging for mercy like a little bitch. Zeke stares down at him, memories from his past life flashing through his mind. He calls Leon a trashy scumbag and then boom, slashes and takes just his ear. Leon screams, clutching the bleeding wound, but Zeke's not done. He grabs this bastard by the hair and tells him, don't even think about reattaching it. If I see you with both ears again, I won't stop there next time. As he was leaving, Liam asks our boy, why? Why did you help me? Zeke brushes it off. I wasn't helping you, I was helping myself. As he walks away, this weird thought pops into his head. Was it Galleon? Did the blacksmith's words actually get to him? He shakes his head and pushes the thought away. Finally, he reaches his destination and finds Professor Fannin. He gave him the blueprint. Without wasting time, Zeke asks if his request is even possible. Fannin gives him a straight answer. It's doable. Relieved, Zeke's about to leave when Fannin stops him. Hold up, you have to listen first. He explains that while the overall design isn't too complicated, the core is the real issue. The core is basically the heart of the machine. It controls the power output. But because of the circuit's weird restrictions, it needs a massive amount of energy despite being tiny. The real problem? They also gotta adjust the energy output in real time or the whole thing becomes useless. Zeke processes all this and asks, so is there actually a way to make it? Fannin nods. There are two options. The first one is completely redesigning the core, but it would take a decade, maybe even 15 years. Zeke's jaw drops. 15 years? Fannin sighs and repeats, it would take forever. Then he mentions the second method, one that lets them skip redesigning the core by using a different material. This would save them years, but there's a catch. They need a high-compression mana stone. The second Zeke hears that, he jolts up. You can't be serious. He knows exactly what that is, an ancient artifact so rare that even modern tech can't make it. Fannin confirms it. Yep, and finding one in a ruin is basically impossible. If we want a stone that actually works with this design, it'll cost 3,000 gold. Zeke just goes silent. 3,000 gold. He barely wrapped his head around, needing 10,000 for the magic brazier, and now this. He just stands there completely overwhelmed. 15 years is obviously not happening, but 3,000 gold isn't exactly pocket change. And to make things worse, if anyone finds out he can't actually use aura, he'll get kicked out of the academy immediately. Everyone thinks he can wield aura because of what went down at the blessing ceremony. But the truth, it was all smoke and mirrors, a trick using his ether and healing abilities. No matter how hard he tries, he straight up can't use aura. Unlike ether, which normal humans can't control at all, aura's way more common. That's why Graham the Sword of Radiance is absolutely crucial. Without it, his whole future's screwed. While Zeke's lost in thought, Fannin's still geeking out over the blueprint. Whoever designed this is an absolute genius. The efficiency's insane. Even among relics from the Golden Age, this level of skill's super rare. That's when it hits him. Zeke's eyes widen as an idea forms. He stands up without hesitation. Professor, just focus on refining the design, I'll handle the rest. And with that, he heads out to find his own solution. Fannin looks confused as hell. Wait, are you telling me to spend 15 years reworking this? Zeke shakes his head. Nah, no need for that, I'm bringing you one. With total confidence, he says he knows exactly how to get his hands on a high-compression mana stone. The professor's just standing there with his jaw on the floor, completely speechless. Meanwhile, Zeke's brain is already racing, thinking back to all the history behind these relics. So get this, way back in the Golden Age, magic was absolutely cracked, like peak civilization type beat. But then humanity said, fuck dragons, we're done being their bitches, and started this whole ass liberation war. The war finally wrapped up when Tarakan murdered Bahamut, the evil dragon overlord. After that, humanity chilled for a whole century, living their best lives, but the dragon lairs they left behind were loaded with remnants from that golden era. These ancient relics, called the Hero King's remnants, were so advanced that modern humans can't even figure out how to recreate them. And among all that treasure, The high compression mana stone, a relic so powerful it could provide energy for an entire village. That's the prize our boy's hunting for. Cut to Draker Academy's central library, and Zeke's walking into this place that's basically abandoned at this point. Nobody uses it anymore, but it's still kept clean and maintained because apparently the legendary hero topranked Draker himself built this place decades ago, so it's got that historical significance, you know? Zeke's thinking back to his past life, remembering how during the Academy's record room expansions, they uncovered a bunch of Golden Age relics. The Magic Tower and the Archmage of Nirvana came running, and the discovery sent shockwaves across the entire continent. But that was in his past life. Right now, these relics should still be sitting here untouched, just waiting for him. He starts searching through this massive library, but obviously he's not finding anything immediately. I mean, if these relics were just sitting out in the open, someone would have snagged them ages ago. So Zeke activates his dragon eyes and scans the room like he's got thermal vision or something. Finally, he spots it, this one weird tile that just doesn't match the rest. He walks up to it and taps it, checking for hidden mechanisms like he's in some Indiana Jones movie. Then he enables Spirit of the Soul, remembering what his master taught him way back. Basically, ether can materialize and let you apply different properties like cutting or impact. Sounds op, right? But there's a catch. Ether burns through energy like crazy. Just turning it on is already draining his stamina, and he's feeling the fatigue kick in. But our boy doesn't have time to rest, so he just pushes through and steps into the opening behind the tile. Now he's inside this hidden cave, and after lighting a fire to see what's going on, he's frowning. He's thinking, wait, in my past life, these ruins weren't discovered until like a decade later, and I don't remember it being this deep underground. What's going on? Just then, he hears something moving. His heart's pounding, and he's panicking. Like, did someone already find this place before me? He peeks ahead and spots skeletons. But these aren't your regular dead bodies. Nah, these bastards are moving, holding shovels and pickaxes like they've been digging for something non-stop. Zeke immediately scans them with dragon eyes and confirms they're not controlled by a lich. Good news, that means he can destroy them without dealing with some necromancer. Our boy doesn't waste a second. He activates Critical Strike and charges forward, going full berserker mode and absolutely shattering these undead workers before they even know what hit them. As he's finishing them off, a system notification pops up saying he earned 2 karma points. Zeke grins because in all his excitement about finding the artifact, this absolute genius completely forgot he could farm karma points this whole time. But now that he remembers, oh, his expression gets wicked. This is the perfect opportunity to grind. He pushes forward without hesitation, tearing through 20 more skeletons like they're tutorial enemies, racking up points left and right. Once he's satisfied with his haul, he pulls up the system menu to see what he can buy. Unfortunately, almost everything's still locked because he's broke on karma points. But there's one thing he can afford, the minimap. He doesn't even think twice and buys it instantly. The system updates right away, showing his exact location. It looks just like a magic map, which is already pretty sick. But then, and this is where it gets crazy, the minimap shifts into full 3D. Zeke's watching this absolutely amazed as the entire layout of the ruins appears before him like some next-gen GPS system. Then he notices something wild. One room is highlighted in a completely different color. Curious, he clicks on it, and the system labels it as a storage room, and even offers to show him the optimal route to get there. Zeke's just stunned, thinking, hold up, the search party in my past life took days to find the storage room, and I just located it in 5 seconds. This system's absolutely broken. He decides to test it out and follows the system's guidance, and holy shit, navigating is so easy now. He's thinking there's literally no way he'll ever get lost with this skill equipped. Finally, he arrives at his destination, but of course there's a problem. There's this massive door blocking his way. He frowns and examines it, thinking, yeah, no way this is opening with a simple push, but might as well try. The second his hand touches the surface, a surge of magic just blasts him backward. His glove literally catches on fire, forcing him to yank his hand back immediately. Zeke's staring at his hand, thinking, damn, if I weren't wearing these gloves, my hand would be cooked right now. Now it all makes sense why the Archmage of Nirvana and the Magic Tower came running when this place got discovered in his past life. Realizing he's not going to brute force his way through this door, he turns to the system like, alright, got any ideas? The system connects to the security device and tries to override it, but after a few seconds it straight up fails. Instead, it activates the manual override. Zeke blinks, confused. Wait, did you just reply to me? And the system goes, affirmative. His eyes go wide because he wasn't expecting an actual conversation here. A crazy thought pops into his head. If the system can talk to him, maybe, just maybe, he can get some real answers. So he immediately fires off the big question. Why was I regressed? No response. All right then. Who's behind the administrator system? Nothing. Frustrated as hell, he tries one last time. Who created this system? But nope. Annoyed, he gives up. Fine, forget it. Just open the damn door. The system confirms, and with this low rumbling sound, the entrance to the Dragon Slayer storage room finally unlocks. The second Zeke steps inside, his eyes go wide in pure disbelief, just like they did in his past life. There are rows and rows of chests, absolutely packed with priceless relics and treasures. Finding even one of these in some random ruins is nearly impossible. Yet here they are, just sitting here waiting to be claimed. He methodically searches through each chest until he finally spots what he came for. High compression mana stones. There are 4 of them total. Without hesitation, he spends a karma point to expand his inventory and secures one. Unfortunately, his storage is still way too limited to grab everything, so he makes a mental note to come back later when he can claim it all. Just as he's about to bounce, this eerie sensation washes over him. Instinctively, he glances back, and in an instant, glowing magic circles appear all around him. Before he can even react, the spell activates and he gets teleported away. The sudden shift makes him stumble, and as he catches his footing, he quickly scans his surroundings. This place is completely unfamiliar. He turns to the system demanding answers like, "Yo, where the hell am I?" And the response? He's now inside the home of the Dragon Slayer. Zeke racks his brain, but in his past life, he had never heard of this place existing. The dimly lit room is lined with coffins, which is creepy as hell. He opens his mini-map and realizes he's not that far from where he just was, but there's no visible path connecting the two locations. That can only mean one thing. This is an undiscovered hidden area. Seeing this rare opportunity, he rushes to one of the coffins and pries open its heavy concrete lid. Inside is a full set of medieval armor just resting there in silence. The system quickly identifies it as Dragon Slayer. Exclusive equipment. He lifts the armor up and notices all these scratches and dents, remnants of battles from way back. Something about it feels different from the Golden Age armor he's used to seeing. Then his eyes catch this unusual circular hole on the back, and it clicks instantly. Wait, this must connect to those mana stones I just grabbed. Wasting zero time. Zeke opens his storage and pulls out one of the high-compression mana stones. He's not about to let an opportunity like this slip by. As he slots the ancient relic into place, the system immediately confirms the successful installation of the mana battery. A pulse of energy surges through the armor and its surface begins to glow as it comes to life. Watching this activation unfold, a grin spreads across Zeke's face, thinking this discovery could change everything. A second later, the armor started glitching uncontrollably, twitching and convulsing like a malfunctioning robot. Zeke's excitement instantly turned to alarm, and before he could do anything, the entire set just exploded, filling the room with thick smoke. The system finally chimes in like, "Oh yeah, an overload caused critical equipment failure." It even mentions it tried to warn him about the explosion, but clearly that message arrived a little too late. The system awkwardly apologizes for the delay, but at least the blast didn't cause any serious damage to Zeke. On the bright side though, he confirmed one crucial fact. The high compression mana stones are the power source for these ancient armors, but that just raises more questions. What kind of insane abilities does this armor have that it needs that much energy? He makes a mental note to ask Professor Fannin about it once he gets out. For now, our boy's done checking out the creepy coffin room, and decides to explore the rest of this dungeon. He's going from room to room, and surprise, surprise, they're all completely empty. Finally, he reaches the last room, and at first it looks just as boring as the others. But then he spots something sitting in the middle, a glass cube. The second he looks at it, a system notification pops up, and Zeke just freezes. You can literally see the oh shit moment hit him as sweat starts dripping down his face. He's thinking, what kind of psychopath was my ancestor? Because guess what's chilling inside that cube? The heart of Bahamut, the cursed light dragon. Yeah, the OG Draker literally killed this legendary dragon, ripped out its heart and went, you know what? I'll just leave this here for the kids. Like, bro, most people leave behind money or a sword, not a cursed dragon heart. No wonder Zeke felt that creepy energy back in the storage room. But compared to what he felt before, this is on a whole different level. Then the system hits him with, the heart of the cursed light dragon is reacting to your presence. And right on cue, dark energy explodes out of nowhere, wrapping around him like some kind of invisible prison. A voice starts whispering in his head. You have no choice. Then it gets louder and angrier, straight up screaming at him. Kill them all. Zeke's vision starts getting blurry. His thoughts are getting all twisted and violent, and he's literally losing his mind. Luckily, his indomitable mental defense kicks in and snaps him out of it. He gasps for air, his head's pounding like crazy, but something's still wrong. He can feel it, his body feels different, like something's off. Then he notices it. One of his eyes has turned completely black. The dude's just standing there like, well, this can't be good. Before he can even process what just happened, boom, another system notification. This time it's an urgent quest called topranked Draker's Test. Basically, he's got to defeat the curse inside Bahamut's heart. And before he can even think about how to do that, the darkness comes back harder than before. His mental defense tries to fight it off, but for the first time ever it straight up fails. This massive wave of murderous rage just crashes over him, and that voice is back, roaring in his skull. Kill them all. It's drilling into his brain, demanding he give in. His vision goes dark, his body locks up, and now both his eyes are pitch black. The voice is promising him freedom, real freedom, if he just submits to it. But Zeke's not buying that BS. With every bit of willpower he's got left, he fights back and makes a split-second decision. He slams his head against the glass cube as hard as he possibly can. The pain jolts through his skull, and yeah, it hurts like hell, but it clears his mind just enough. Blood's running down his face, but he's actually grinning like a psycho, and says, you call this freedom? What a joke. Because real freedom isn't something handed to you on a silver platter. You have to earn it. The glass cube shatters into a million pieces, breaking the curse with it. The system confirms urgent quest complete. Zeke just officially claimed his ancestor's dying gift, but man, that fight took everything out of him. He's mentally exhausted, like a mountain just collapsed on his brain. If he'd hesitated for even a second, he'd be toast right now. His body realizes how screwed up he is, and activates his healing factor and infinite stamina to patch him up. Then something wild happens. Bahamut's heart, now freed from the curse, starts floating up in the air with this crazy glowing light. It slowly drifts towards Zeke's chest, and the moment it touches him, this massive wave of power surges through his entire body. And by power, I mean pure, agonizing pain. This insane amount of pure mana, way beyond anything he's ever felt, floods into every cell in his body. But here's the problem, Zeke doesn't have any mana circles to store this energy, so all this raging power is literally ripping him apart from the inside out. He needs to do something fast. In a total panic move, he summons purple ether using Spirit of the Soul and creates a miniature black hole in his palm to seal the mana. It's completely reckless and probably stupid, but with his limited options, it's either this or explode. He's grinding his teeth, focusing everything he's got on maintaining this ether hole. The raw energy is fighting back hard, thrashing against his control. The pressure keeps building and building until it finally just detonates. A huge explosion erupts with Zeke right in the center. The blast completely destroys the entire room, leaving behind this massive crater. Smoke and debris are everywhere, and after all that chaos, there's just silence. When the dust clears, Zeke's somehow still standing, barely. His whole body feels like it's on fire. Every nerve is screaming at him. He lets out a sharp breath, relieved that the pain's finally starting to fade. He survived. His uniform is absolutely wrecked, but there's something new on his chest. A mark. The mark of Bahamut. The glass cube has completely vanished like it was never there. That raw mana was absolutely no joke. Honestly, it's a straight-up miracle. Zeke's even alive, but his quick thinking saved his ass. As he looks down at the broken pieces on the ground, he catches his reflection and sees the mark, now branded on his chest. It looks like sealing all that rampaging energy came with some side effects. Then the system drops another notification. Absorption of the cursed light dragon's heart complete. And it's followed by a flood of information. The crazy amount of mana he absorbed has completely transformed his body. His body isn't normal anymore. It's been upgraded to something way beyond human. His body is now divine. But of course there's a catch, because there's always a catch. The system detected that his current skills aren't strong enough to handle this new power. So to keep him from exploding, it forcibly sealed away 95% of the energy. But wait, there's more. Since he's the inheritor of his ancestors' legacy, he's now got access to topranked secure library. On top of that, a beginner quest book just unlocked, and there's a low-level administrator tutorial waiting for him. Zeke's just scratching his head like, a divine body, a library, a tutorial. What the hell am I supposed to do with all this? It's way too much info to process right now, so he dismisses most of the notifications except for one. Turns out the first Dragon Slayer was feeling pretty generous on his deathbed. A new system prompt pops up in front of Zeke. Would you like to open topranked second dying gift? The scene shifts, and we are back home now. Our boy's locking up all the loot he grabbed, but he can't stop staring at the system notifications. His title just changed. Now he's the one who received the blessing of the ancient dragon, an inheritor of topranked. Pretty badass, not gonna lie. And with these fancy new titles, he's got some insane perks. Draconic control, that divine body constitution we talked about earlier. But out of everything he unlocked, one ability's got him sweating. Incantation. The description's vague as hell. It just says, this skill will fill your words with power. Zeke's sitting there like, okay, that sounds broken as hell, but what does it actually do? Zeke has no clue because even with all these crazy rewards, our boy's still too weak to use most of them. Like, draconic control means he can command dragons. Any dragon under his rule would follow orders without question. That's sick, right? And the divine body? It boosts his combat to a whole new level. His learning speed for fighting just skyrocketed, and his ether circulation is way smoother now. But there's a difference between reading about power on a stat screen and actually having it. If he wants to know what he's really capable of, he needs to test this shit out in real combat. Just as he's thinking about his next move, another system window pops up. This one's still tied to topranked legacy. He's got access to some secure library now, but the system needs an information update before he can use it. The system's being all helpful, offering to mark the update location on his minimap. Zeke's not exactly thrilled about running another errand, but it's his ancestors' legacy, he can't just ignore it. Then something catches his eye. The map layout looks familiar. He's seen this place before. Wait a second. That looks exactly like Valhalla. Folks, Valhalla is the most prestigious knight training institution in existence. It's reserved for only the most elite warriors. Regular people can't even see the grounds without administrator clearance, let alone step inside. And right now, even Zeke would have a hard time getting in. The problem? He wasn't even planning on joining Valhalla in this lifetime. But now, with something tied to topranked dying gift hidden inside, his plans might need to change. Shaking off those thoughts, Zeke shifts his attention to the beginner quest book. The tutorial for low-level administrators is about to start. Once he completes it, he'll unlock a quest designed to boost his growth. Quests mean rewards, and the whole setup reminds him of Adventurer Guild missions or mercenary work. He's curious, so he asks what the tutorial involves. And bro doesn't even get a chance to prepare himself. The tutorial just starts automatically. His surroundings twist, and reality itself starts glitching out right before his eyes. Within seconds, the world around him has completely changed. Beneath his feet, glowing grid lines stretch out endlessly, and everything else is just this void of infinite darkness. Despite the trippy-ass shift, Zeke stays calm. He's scanning his surroundings, trying to figure out where the hell he is. Unlike the teleportation from earlier, This doesn't feel like he just moved locations. It's like the very rules of reality just got rewritten. Before he can process it any further, an orc lunges at him with their massive spiked club. Right then the system finally chimes in with tutorial quest to defeat the monsters within 60 minutes using 2 or more different skills. Completion rewards, system points plus system store unlock. Not bad at all. His battle instincts kick in. A sword materializes in his grip, just as the first wave of attacks closes in. So this tutorial is designed to make him use the system's benefits? It would have been nice to have access to something like this before all the near-death experiences. But whatever. The first 3 orcs attack at the same time. Their weapons coming down from different angles, but they hit nothing. Zeke's already gone. The sheer force of their missed attacks makes the tutorial space ripple. Before these green bastards can even react, he reappears, moving at insane speed with swift steps and continuous slashes. He cuts them down with precise, effortless movements before they can even register what happened. Monsters like these, they're nothing more than practice dummies to him now. The claymore in his hands feels incredibly light, almost weightless. This surge in strength has to be one of the perks of his divine body constitution. With this new power, he's confident he could take down a purple knight with ease. After effortlessly wiping out the tutorial orcs, he returns to his original spot as the separate dimension fades away. Was it just an illusion? It felt way too real to be some fake-ass trick. Either way, completing the tutorial earned him a hefty reward, both a critical hit bonus and a time bonus. In total, he racks up a solid 40 points and unlocks access to the shop. Excited Zeke wastes no time opening the shop tab. What he finds leaves him absolutely stunned. The selection is incredible. Items like giant's flesh, breath of a flame giant, and other rare relics that would cost a fortune on the market. A thought crosses his mind, could he profit by reselling these items? Like he could become rich as hell just flipping system items. Beyond buying, the shop also lets him sell items from his inventory. Unfortunately, his training claymore isn't eligible, but his elven dagger, listed for just 4 points. He's pissed because he knows it could fetch at least 100 gold pieces at an auction, yet the system's lowballing him hard, deciding it's not worth selling unless he's desperate. He closes the shop and calls it a day. After everything that happened, a full night's rest is well overdue. Cut to the next morning, Zeke makes his way to Draker Academy's research center to meet Professor Fannin. The magic professor's in complete disbelief. Zeke actually managed to get his hands on a high-compression mana stone in just one day. When asked where he found it, Zeke brushes off the question. The explanation's too complicated and he's got no intention of spilling the beans. Before Zeke even finishes his tea, Professor Fannin's already done tweaking the power source. The man's a true genius when it comes to magic. Still, despite his calm exterior, Zeke can tell the professor's suspicious. High-compression mana stones are rare and meticulously documented in ancient texts. Each one has a registration number to track its ownership and origin. A single check could reveal where it came from and who it currently belongs to. Yet the mana stones in Zeke's possession are completely unregistered. No matter how thoroughly someone searches, they won't pop up in the Central Continent's registration records. Professor Fannin's skepticism is totally justified. It's better than blind faith. His expertise and sharp judgment make him truly exceptional. Zeke can't help but think that a man with this much talent deserves way more recognition than he's getting at this academy. With the design finally complete, the professor activates the apparatus, and they head back to Papnir's Breath. They hand the device over to Galleon Zeke, and Fannin watches as the blacksmith gets to work, his workshop glowing with the light of carefully arranged magic circles. The pure excitement on Galleon's face is contagious. He's finally been given the chance to craft weapons that meet his own high standards. This is history in the making right here. After a successful demonstration, Professor Fannin excuses himself to attend a lecture, leaving Zeke with Galleon. The blacksmith is overwhelmed with gratitude. He'd been dreaming of completing a magic brazier for years, but never thought he'd see it happen in his lifetime. Making a deal with Zeke was the best decision he ever made. Now that Zeke's upheld his end of the bargain, it's time for Galleon to do the same. Without hesitation, Zeke reaches into his bag and pulls out an item. The moment Galleon lays eyes on it, he knows exactly what it is. Inside the lavish case rests a pristine dragon's fang. Among all the rewards from inheriting Tarakan's will, Bahamut's sharpest fang is hands down the most valuable. The sight of it alone makes the blacksmith tremble with excitement. Tears and snot are running down Galleon's face as he clutches the massive fang, leaving Zeke momentarily bewildered. First, he helped bring the magic brazier to life, and now he's giving a humble craftsman the chance to forge a weapon from a dragon's fang. This is like every blacksmith's wet dream. Overcome with emotion, Galleon swears to create a blade that'll surpass Zeke's every expectation, even if it costs him his life. His words strike a chord. They're the same ones he said in Zeke's previous life. Even in this second chance, Galleon remains the same passionate fool. That realization stirs something deep within Zeke, leaving Papnir's Breath behind. He lets the master handle the crafting. With the greatest blacksmith on the continent working on his weapon, he's got no doubt it's going to be something legendary. So now that the sword business is done, Zeke's back at his mansion. Man went through absolute hell just to get a proper weapon, and now he can finally chill. It's been a week since his duel with Duke, and he's just chilling at his mansion, lounging around reading that note he got. You know, the one inviting him for a rematch when things go sideways fast. Out of nowhere, our boy sensed something. He turned around and there he was, Duke Draker, standing behind him looking like he's about to commit murder. This dude's eyes are literally on fire with rage as he gets in Zeke's face, asking him why the hell he's been ignoring his invitation. And folks, what does our boy do? Being the little shit he is, Zeke decides to poke the bear. He casually tells Duke he's got zero plans of fighting him again. That's all it took. Duke snaps, crosses the room in like half a second, grabs Zeke, and before our boy can even blink, this angry old knight launches him straight out the open window like a football. Zeke suddenly free-falling through the air with absolutely no warning. And get this, his room's up on one of the higher floors too. If he hits the ground before his body does its whole healing thing, he's cooked. He reaches out desperately trying to grab anything on the way down the balcony, a ledge, whatever. But nope, a strong hand catches him right by the throat before he can get a grip on anything. Duke's not done with him yet. This man seriously can't wrap his head around why Zeke keeps dodging him. First, he ducked out in the treatment room, and now this? It's almost like the kid's doing it on purpose just to mess with him. Duke gives him 5 seconds to cut the crap and start talking. But instead of freaking out like any sane person would while dangling off a building, Zeke just smiles. He casually calls Duke out, pointing out that he's the one being fake here, still playing pretend as a gardener while demanding Zeke be straight with him. Something changes in Duke's face. He was expecting fear, maybe some tears, anything, but there's nothing. The countdown hits 0, and the old knight's grip loosens up. Without saying a word, Duke tosses Zeke back through the window like he weighs nothing. Zeke crashes onto the floor and absolutely wrecks half the room on impact. But thanks to his body being built like a tank, nothing's actually broken. He dusts himself off and looks up to see Duke, or should I say garden keeper Dexter, offering him a hand with this smug little smirk. The old knight finally drops the act. He's not just some weird gardener who talks to plants. This man was a black knight of the Draker family. Zeke gasps and acts all shocked, even though he'd figured this out a long time ago. But hey, the kid knows how to put on a show. He throws himself into it, dropping to his knees and going on about how sorry he is for not recognizing such an important member of the Draker family. Duke narrows his eyes, though he's not buying it for a second. Was this your plan the whole time? He asks. Zeke, shameless as ever, keeps playing dumb and milks the whole thing. But he's also sneaky, so while he's at it, he casually asks why Duke called himself a former Black Knight. The old man's face goes dark real quick. I just don't have that title anymore, he says. Zeke didn't even know knights could lose their ranks like that. He can tell Duke's not about to say anything more about it, so he drops it. But he does catch this slight shake in the old man's hand. Yeah, there's definitely more to this story. So since Duke actually came clean about who he really is, Zeke figures it's only fair to do the same. He drops to his knees and straight up admits everything. Yeah, he knew the whole time he'd been messing with Duke on purpose, hoping the guy would eventually take him on as a student. And instead of blowing up about it, Duke actually laughs. The old knight finds Zeke's guts hilarious, and just like that, he makes his call. All right, he says, you're my apprentice now. Zeke's jaw drops. That's seriously it? Like he was fully expecting Duke to put him through some brutal tests or maybe even try to kill him before agreeing to anything. But nah, this kid just got himself a legendary teacher by being persistent and annoying. He wastes no time. He bows way down and goes into full serious mode. I, Zeke Draker, swear to bring honor to my master's name, to follow his teachings, and to chase both wisdom and strength under his guidance. Duke raises an eyebrow. Wait, you actually know that vow? Yeah, most kids these days have zero clue that kind of stuff even exists. But Zeke's always believed that knowing your roots and having discipline is what separates real knights from everyone else. So of course he knows it by heart. Still, he's got one more thing on his mind. Master, can I ask you something? Duke immediately shuts that down. Yeah, no, don't call me that. Zeke smirks but keeps going anyway. Why'd you actually pick me? Because let's be real, Duke's famous for saying no to literally everyone. Even Andre, the so-called once-in-a-generation genius, had to beg for years before Duke finally caved. Zeke's got his own guesses, but he wants to hear it from the man himself. Duke just chuckles. Take a guess. Zeke grins. Because I'm the smartest kid in the family? Duke lets out this big laugh. Confident, huh? Nah, if I wanted raw talent, I would have picked that girl from the Turun family. Then his face gets real serious. I picked you for one reason, kid. You don't quit. And that's the thing, talent alone won't get you to the top. Duke makes that crystal clear. The kids who are naturally gifted, they're actually the ones who fall apart the hardest when things get tough. Their talent just disappears the second life gets real. Zeke knows this better than anyone. He's watched it happen over and over again his whole life. Kids, everyone swore they were going to be the next big thing. Kids who were supposed to become Red Knights couldn't even push past Blue Knight. The moment things actually got hard, they just stopped growing. Duke ends it there and gets up. Enough talking. Let's go. Zeke follows him out to the empty western greenhouse, and then Duke reveals something wild. There's a whole hidden gym underneath it. Zeke had no idea this place even existed. Duke doesn't bother explaining any of it. Run, he says, so Zeke runs for 3 hours straight. He's just going in circles around the track while Duke stands there watching him like a hawk. Zeke can't stop wondering what the hell Duke's trying to figure out. Then the Duke told him to stop. Zeke pulls the brakes immediately. But before he can even catch his breath, Duke's already right behind him. This old man moves like a ghost. His hand shoots towards Zeke's wrist out of nowhere. Zeke's body reacts before his brain does. He yanks his arm away and dodges the grab just in time. Every part of him is screaming to put as much distance between them as possible. Duke narrows his eyes and looks down at his own hand for a second. Even though he didn't actually grab Zeke, that tiny bit of contact almost ripped right through the kid's special glove, and that tells him everything he needed to know. "You got a problem with me checking your pulse?" Duke asks, and his voice is sharp as hell, but Zeke knows there's no way that was what Duke was actually going for. This sly old fox has been suspicious since day one, from their fight in the infirmary to the greenhouse brawl. And now this. The man watched him run 500 laps and not once picked up a single bit of aura coming off Zeke's body. And as the second Duke reached for his wrist, Zeke flinched away like it was instinct. Then the Duke casually asks our boy, "You can't use aura, can you?" Seeing our boy panicking, the Duke just casually drops that he knows about the bronze statue incident and the golden light Zeke triggered, and our boy's internally freaking the hell out. Duke's like, "Yo, if I'm wrong, let me check your pulse." And there's no beef in his eyes, just straight up curiosity. But Zeke is losing his mind on the inside, because aura was everything in the drunker world. Like if word got out that someone from their bloodline couldn't use it. That's not just embarrassing, that's a career-ending, family-shaming, straight-up your life is over kind of mess. But the funny thing is Duke didn't even give a damn about any of that political BS. The man just wanted to know what was really going on. Zeke was honestly lucky his master was such a weird old bastard, because if this were literally anyone else, things would have gone south real fast. So Zeke knew he had to play this smart. His one goal right now, get his hands on Graham. Until then, he needed to keep his head down and not let anyone catch on to his aura situation. But unlike his past life where he was basically the embarrassment of his household, things were different now. No lies needed this time. Zeke pulled off his special gloves, showing off the symbol of a pure-blood awakener underneath. Rock-solid proof of his noble bloodline right there on his skin. But even though he actually woke up his powers successfully, the dude simply could not use aura. So he decided to spill just enough of the truth to keep his real secrets hidden. He looked down, let out this shaky breath, and hit Duke with the whole trembling voice act. "If the family finds out I can't use aura, they'll kick me out," he whispered, and oh man, he even squeezed out some tears. Someone give this kid an Oscar, because the performance was absolutely perfect. Duke, being the soft-hearted old man he secretly is, completely melted seeing his student like that. A kid is still a kid after all. Zeke stuck out his wrist without another word, and Duke spread his aura through the boy's body to scan for any trace of it. And the result? Absolutely nothing. Not a single drop. Duke's brain immediately went into overdrive trying to make sense of this, because his mind literally refused to believe something that went against everything Drakers knew. And right on cue he landed on his own answer. "You're an irregular." Zeke played dumb, tilting his head like he'd never heard the term. Duke explained, "Irregulars are people with abilities that just don't follow the normal rules. Some can use both aura and mana, others can see the future, whatever. The point is they're basically outcasts because their existence freaks everyone out." Duke crossed his arms and said they'd keep this between them. Master and student, nobody else's business. Simple as that. Then Duke connected the dots on his own. Zeke's insane stamina, his recovery speed that made even small injuries heal almost instantly. Duke figured it out. "Your aura is constantly draining to keep your body healing," he said. "That's why there's barely any left." Honestly, for a weird old man, that was a pretty solid guess. Zeke kept up his act, looking worried and asking if that meant he'd never use aura. Duke just laughed and shook his head. "Forget aura. My Gale arts don't need it." And then Duke showed him. Before Zeke could even process what was happening, the ground beneath Duke just exploded. The old knight launched himself across the entire gym in a single jump, moving so fast you literally couldn't see him, zigzagging across the arena like a blur, before landing back where he started like he'd just taken a casual stroll. Duke turned around and asked, "Did you catch that?" Zeke let out a breath and immediately asked if he could try it himself. Duke blinked. Most people would need to watch it again, but this kid was already itching to go. The old knight laughed and told him to go for it. Zeke replayed every single movement in his mind, then stepped forward. His first step cracked the ground right on top of Duke's footprint, and just like that, he was gone, perfectly copying his master's entire pattern without a single mistake. When he finally stopped, Duke was completely speechless. A week ago this kid was nowhere near this level. The improvement was insane, honestly beyond anything Duke had ever seen. Of course Zeke had to ruin the moment by being cocky about it. Duke pulled him into a headlock, messing with him about going from crying like a baby to nailing a move that most knights can't even figure out. Fast forward a bit, and Zeke's at the academy dining hall, absolutely demolishing everything in sight. Meat, seafood, bread, you name it. That's when instructor Andre walks up and asks how the hell Zeke managed to get chosen by Sir Dexter. Zeke, still shoveling food into his face, just shrugged and said Sir Dexter picked him on his own. Andre was not happy about that answer. The guy's whole face went dark because, obviously, his assumption was that Zeke only got picked for being a pure-blood awakener. Zeke wasn't having it. After finishing his meal, he turned on Andre and basically called out the man's inferiority complex to his face. Andre tried to pull rank, but Zeke shut him down completely, pointing out that if Sir Dexter were really that shallow, that would actually just prove Zeke's own worth even more. Then he told Andre to stop whining and actually put in the work to earn his spot. Later that day at the Western Greenhouse Arena, Zeke and Duke showed up to find Andre already there, running laps like his life depended on it. Turns out the guy had shown up earlier and practically begged Duke to let him train, even if it meant starting from the very bottom. Duke gave him a challenge, 300 laps, no aura, and Andre was out there grinding through it. Even Zeke had to respect it. Turns out this dude actually had some fight in him after all. Cut to the next day, and some major stuff was going down at the academy. Every single student got called to the training grounds because apparently, the big boss himself was coming through. The patriarch's visit was happening, and you could hear the horses outside before you even saw the carriage rolling up with the Draker family symbol all over it. The academy's dean, Howard Draker, was already scrambling around like crazy. He's ordering everyone to get ready for their supreme leader, making sure he's standing right at the front so he can be the first one to kiss ass. The carriage pulls up, the door opens, and Howard's already bowing so deep you'd think he's trying to touch his toes. Behind him, all the knights are kneeling with their swords up in the air, doing the whole salute thing. The patriarch showed up right on time, exactly at noon. The academy's bell starts ringing, and it's louder and sharper than usual because this is a big deal. Then he steps out. Arthur Draker, head honcho of the third transcendent household, the freaking dragon slayer himself. Just him being there makes everyone shut up and stand straight. He puts his hand on Howard's shoulder, towering over the poor guy, and throws him a rare compliment about working hard. This man is basically power personified. Howard's still bowing and starts suggesting they head inside because the sun's brutal, but Arthur moves at his own damn pace. Nobody rushes this man. Some students near the gates manage to get a peek at him, and their jaws just drop. Then finally, he steps fully into view so everyone can see his face. Standing in front of all these young dragon slayers, Arthur addresses them directly, saying how they're the future of the clan, the hope and the strength, and all that normal BS. He tells them to train harder and push themselves for their own growth and for the glory of the Draker family. The students are eating this up, shouting back at him with everything they've got, completely fired up by his speech. As the sun's beating down on everyone, Arthur turns away and tells Howard to take him inside already. Behind closed doors, Zeke gets summoned to meet the leader of all knights, the guy protecting the Dragon Slayer, named his own father. Arthur actually laughs at Zeke's super formal old-school greeting because nobody talks like that anymore. He's smiling a bit as he pours 2 cups of tea and tells his son to sit down. He mentions he heard Zeke likes tea, so he grabs something rare, hoping he'd like it. To some random person watching, this might look like a sweet moment between father and son, but Zeke sees right through it. This is proof that every little thing about him, even what he drinks, is getting reported back to the higher-ups. There's this old saying, there might be things the Emperor doesn't know, but nothing gets past a Draker. Right now, Zeke's feeling the truth of that hit him hard. Arthur doesn't waste time with BS. He called Zeke here because he heard Duke Draker took him as a student. Zeke plays it down though, saying Dexter's just doing him a solid. Arthur's not totally sure what his son's endgame is, but he admits that learning from Duke will definitely lead to good things. But before he can keep going, Zeke cuts him off. His goal isn't just learning from Dexter. His goal is to become the strongest man on the entire continent. Arthur's eyes go sharp hearing that, and Zeke's not done. He swears he'll surpass everyone and get so strong that he can live however the hell he wants. That's what he's after, and nothing's going to stop him. Arthur's just staring at his son. Then without saying anything, he lets his aura slip out just a little bit to make a point. The whole room gets heavy. Zeke's body tenses up as this invisible pressure just surrounds him. A chill runs down his back. This isn't a regular aura. This is the astral sword, the thing that supposedly gives you control over every living thing in range. Only the most elite Black Knights can even pull this off. Just feeling it makes Zeke's breath catch in his throat. Arthur's eyes are gleaming with something Zeke can't quite read. Maybe he's amused, maybe he's testing him. Zeke realizes he ran his mouth too much and said things he probably shouldn't have, but even with his father's power crushing down on him, he refuses to fold. Gritting his teeth, he stands his ground. He doesn't take it back, doesn't retreat. Instead, he doubles down, looking Arthur dead in the eye. Yeah, his goal is to surpass even his own father, and no matter what it takes, he's making it happen. Arthur watches Zeke for a second, then pulls back his astral sword, looking satisfied. The crushing pressure vanishes instantly as he calmly sips his tea. He admits that what Zeke just said is the most interesting thing he's heard in years. Originally, Arthur came here to support the academy and his youngest son, but after seeing how much Zeke's grown, he's wondering if that's going to be enough. He reaches into his fancy suit and pulls out something small, sliding it across the table. Zeke looks at it, a black card with the Draker family symbol on it. For a second, he's just stunned. He always thought Black Knights like Dexter were as strong as it gets, but his father? This man's on a completely different level. Seeing the black card in person makes Zeke uncomfortable. He's stumbling over his words, and Arthur smirks. He can tell his son already gets what this means. This isn't just any card, it's the card, the ultimate flex. Only a handful of people ever get one, and with it comes basically everything. No spending limit, access to the most elite places, and influence that goes beyond money. It's basically an infinite money glitch. Arthur casually explains that the card's under both their names, so Zeke can use it whenever, but Zeke's not stupid. He knows the real reason for this gift. Every time you use a black card, it leaves a trail. It's just another way to keep an eye on him. Still, the fact that Arthur went with this instead of sticking a whole squad on him to follow him around means one thing. The Patriarch doesn't see him as a threat. Not yet, anyway. Zeke swallows his unease and takes the card, promising to only use it when he really needs to. Arthur waves him off with some final encouragement. If Zeke really wants to be the strongest, then he'd better get to work. Zeke bows one last time, thanking the master of the Draker family, then walks out with his head spinning. As the door closes behind him, Arthur leans back with his eyes shut, thinking, His youngest son's ambition caught him off guard, but it's interesting. Then the quiet gets broken. Dexter walks right in without bothering with any formal crap. "You're a disgusting old man," he says. Arthur opens one eye, completely unbothered. Why so pissed off? Dexter crosses his arms. "So now you're playing daddy after a lifetime of being absent?" Arthur doesn't even flinch, but for the first time in years, someone's actually calling him out on his BS. And Dexter's just about the only guy with the strength and the balls to do it. Arthur sighs, saying he had no choice. This is what comes with being head of the household. Leadership demands sacrifices. Plus, what Dexter's saying is basically slander against the patriarch himself. Dexter's not buying it. He drops onto the couch, stretching out as he looks Arthur in the eye. "Then go ahead, arrest me," he says, daring him. Arthur chuckles, dropping the act. Out of everyone on the continent, Dexter's the only one he can actually talk to like a normal person. Reaching into his suit again, Arthur pulls out something way more valuable than gold. A bottle of dragon's breath, some rare expensive booze. He offers Dexter a drink to go with their chat, and just like that, Dexter's mood flips. He smirks, admitting that if nothing else, Arthur's got damn good taste in alcohol. With drinks poured, Arthur finally gets to the real topic. The weird tension that's been hanging over the continent. Dexter acts like he doesn't know what Arthur's talking about, claiming he's been minding his business at the academy, but Arthur knows better. Dexter has eyes and ears everywhere. Dexter sighs, putting his glass down. Why ask something you already know the answer to? Arthur doesn't argue. He just waits. After a second, Dexter leans forward, voice dropping. The Emperor's lost his mind, obsessing over immortality. He's tearing apart the entire continent, looking for anything that might give him even the smallest lead. Arthur nods, not surprised at all. He's been thinking the same thing. Sure, magic can slow down aging, but real immortality? That's a fairy tale. Something nobody's ever pulled off and probably never will. But there's one thing that's got him worried. The Emperor isn't just chasing some fantasy. He's hunting for something real. Something tied to the Elder Dragon. So while these two big shots are having their little secret meeting, our boy's in the next room with his ear pressed to the wall. Zeke standing there all casual with his hands in his pockets, using his soul manifestation ability. And this conversation is absolute gold. Arthur drops this theory that the Emperor's probably hunting down some relic connected to the Elder Dragon. And Dexter's sitting there like, you know what? That actually makes sense. But then comes the real kicker. What if this crazy bastard already found it? Arthur's just casually swirling his drink, thinking it over, and admits, yeah, it's possible. His personal death squad, the Order of Black Knights, has been doing their homework, and all roads lead to one place, the Northern Continent. Now that gets Dexter's attention real quick. The fact that he's only hearing about this now means the Empire's spy network hasn't caught wind of it yet, but they will. It's just a matter of time before shit hits the fan. This whole immortality obsession drags up some dark memories for Dexter. He's thinking back to when this absolute lunatic of an emperor first took the throne and immediately started a continental war. Just to flex, the madman conquered half the central lands before he finally chilled out. And now it's looking like history's about to run it back. Dexter had foolishly assumed the emperor would eventually drop this whole living forever delusion. But nope, he was dead wrong. If this psychopath actually gets his hands on an artifact that grants immortality, the entire continent is cooked. But Arthur isn't about to let that happen though. Given how serious this is, he's already made his choice. He's heading north to handle it personally. And Dexter's just sitting there like, are you insane? Because Arthur leaving the central continent is basically asking for disaster. Without him around to keep that power-hungry emperor in check, that bastard will run wild and destroy everything in his path. But this is exactly why Arthur showed up today. Sure, he gave some half-assed motivational speech to the trainees, but the real reason? He needed to clue Dexter in on his master plan, and he knew exactly how the old man would react. Resistance is futile though. Dexter realizes he's got no choice, lets out this long-suffering sigh, and reluctantly raises his glass for a toast. Fine, fine, but don't expect me to play nice while you're gone. Arthur just chuckles because he knows this bastard very well. The grumpy old guardian of the academy is out here groaning like this is the worst day of his life, but Arthur knows the truth no matter how much he bitches and moans. Dexter's more than capable of holding everything together. Meanwhile, back in the next room, Zeke's paying the ultimate price for being nosy. His whole body's screaming in pain, his vision's going blurry, and he's been using soul manifestation way too long. The backlash hits him like a truck. His knees buckle, and before he knows it, he's face first on the floor, gasping for air with bloodshot eyes, looking like he just went 12 rounds with Mike Tyson. Even after absorbing Bahamut's heart, this technique's side effects are no joke. But you know what? Totally worth it, because what he just learned is invaluable. Everything's starting to click. That statue he grabbed before his regression, it wasn't just some random relic, it was the Elder Dragon's artifact the whole time. The mysterious voice he heard before dying, and the weird system messages when he woke up in his younger body. It's all making sense now. Without even realizing it, his past self had stolen the exact artifact the Emperor was obsessed with. No wonder he got hunted like a dog with a bounty on his head. That crazed dictator mobilized his most elite unit and sent them to chase him to the literal ends of the world. Back then, Zeke was so consumed by revenge he never questioned why he was being pursued so hard. But now he's got a concrete clue about his regression. The administrator system that sent him back in time is connected to the Elder Dragon's artifact, which only raises more questions. Who the hell could create something like that? How powerful were they, and most importantly, why? Sitting on the floor trying to catch his breath, Zeke realizes he chased after answers only to find even bigger mysteries waiting for him. So the two Drakkar big shots finish their drinks and wrap up shop. Dexter's like, yeah, I'll handle it. And Arthur's cool with that because he knows the guy gets results. But right as he's about to bounce, Arthur just stops. The whole vibe in the hallway switches up, and this dude's eyes lock onto the door where Zeke's hiding like he's got X-ray vision. Meanwhile, Zeke's in there completely clueless about how close he is to getting caught, still lost in his own head trying to figure out this whole immortality and time travel mess. Like, if he actually jacked the Emperor's artifact, why did everyone think it had something to do with living forever? Then he hears it, footsteps, heavy ones, and every instinct in Zeke's body starts going off. Arthur's way too close for comfort. The door flies open, Arthur's cold-ass stare sweeping the room, but nobody's there. Zeke pulled off a clutch escape, already halfway out the window by the time Arthur walked in, avoiding what would have been the most awkward "hey dad" moment in history. Arthur shrugs off the weird feeling and dips, not knowing how close he was. Cut to a few hours later and Zeke's back at the Western Greenhouse Arena doing his usual training grind. It's supposed to be a do-not-disturb kind of day, but old Decker, being the try-hard servant he is, completely ignores that. He walks in all apologetic, bowing and saying some students showed up looking for him. Zeke's immediately like, what? Because who would go out of their way to visit him? Dude has zero friends at this place. But he's curious, so he tells Decker to let whoever it is in. He was not ready for Liam Stone to walk through that door. The second this Jack dude enters, he bows his head like he's meeting royalty. Zeke's eyes narrow, suspicious as hell. What's this guy's angle? Then Liam, sounding dead serious, straight up begs to join him. Zeke lets out this annoyed sigh, already kicking himself for not just ghosting this guy back when he was putting Jekken in his place. So you're saying you want to work for me? He asks, clearly not feeling it. Liam drops his head even lower and swears he'll be loyal. Now this catches Zeke off guard. He raises an eyebrow. What happened to all that loyalty you had for Jekken? As soon as he mentions that name, Liam's whole face changes. Dude looks pissed for a second before he explains. He got ditched, and without some powerful Drakkar backing him up, there's no way in hell he's getting into Valhalla as a trainee. Zeke's mind goes back to his past life. Liam was the exact same way back then too. He never figured out why this guy was so obsessed with Valhalla. But one thing was clear. He'd beg, crawl, and do literally anything to get in. Zeke clicks his tongue and flat out rejects him. You're dumb as hell. If you're that desperate, go bug Turun or Zimmons instead. He waves him off and makes it crystal clear. He's not running some charity for people to leech off of. And even he can't get Liam into Valhalla. Plus, Zeke has zero reason to trust anything. This dude says for all he knows this musclehead could be a spy. Jekken's sent to get payback. The doubt in Zeke's voice is obvious and Liam doesn't even try to argue. Instead, he shows him. In one quick move, he pulls a knife from his waistband. Zeke's eyes narrow, ready for a fight. But Liam doesn't rush him. Instead, this absolute psycho turns the blade on himself, and with one nasty, no hesitation slash, cuts off his own left ear. Zeke just stands there, watching as Liam drops his severed ear on the ground like it's nothing. Liam takes a shaky breath, face still dead serious. I get it. You don't trust me, but I'll do whatever it takes to prove I'm for real. Then with some scary-ass conviction, he goes even harder. If you want me silent, I'll cut out my tongue. If you want me crippled, I'll chop off my own foot. Zeke can't front this as extreme, borderline insane behavior, but Liam's not playing around. The way his voice shakes, the blood running down his face. This isn't some act. Watching him standing there trembling, grinding his teeth through the pain, Zeke's mind flashes back to another time, another severed ear. It's not a memory he likes thinking about, not even a little. But seeing Liam push himself to the absolute edge just for a shot at following him, he can't help but remember when he was in that exact same spot, a beat-up, scarred fighter with nothing but rage in his eyes, kneeling before his past life master, begging to become stronger than everyone else. So he decided to give Liam a chance to prove himself. He flings his sword at him saying, I'll take you in as my subordinate, if you manage to withstand one attack from me. For a second, Liam is confident that he can do that. Although our boy is super strong, Liam too is the future mercenary king. But nope, because as our boy said those words, his whole aura shifted, and Liam realized that there is no way that he's beating Zeke, but he decided to try anyways. Both rushed at each other, and well, things went down as you would have it. Liam lost terribly. It was so bad that even our boy was surprised. So Zeke's trying to dip out, thinking he's done with this conversation, when he notices the big guy's still got that stubborn look in his eyes. He sighs and drops some wisdom. Bro, forget Valhalla, find another path. But Liam's not having it. See, here's the thing, after Zeke embarrassed that spoiled brat Jekken, homeboy got tossed aside like yesterday's trash. And Liam, he's from some random branch family. So without being Jekken's lapdog, he never would have even gotten close to this academy. If they're willing to kick out Zeke, a straight-up Drakkar, they'll dump someone like Liam without blinking. Zeke turns to walk away, thinking it's over. But then he feels something heavy on his leg. He looks down, and Liam's clinging to him like his life depends on it. In the old timeline, Liam got expelled, and his crew fell apart. But through pure spite and stubbornness, he became a Red Knight and earned the title of the Mercenary King. Now he's literally crying, begging for one more shot. Zeke's patience is running out. Fine. One last chance. Don't screw it up. But there's a catch. Liam said he'd do anything, cut out his tongue, chop off his feet, whatever. so Zeke hits him with something genuinely insane. Cut off your right arm. The room goes dead silent. Zeke's basically telling him to kiss his swordsman dreams goodbye. Any normal person would nope out immediately. Zeke turns away and starts training, expecting Liam to finally give up and leave. Instead, this madman walks toward a sword. Zeke's thinking it's no big deal. Liam will still become a legend even if he gets kicked out. But then it hits him. Liam's actually going to do it. He grabs the blade, raises it high, and aims for his own arm. Zeke's body moves on instinct, pushing his legs to the max. Just before Liam can bring it down, Zeke's sword flashes and cuts Liam's weapon in half. The clang echoes through the arena. Liam stares at his intact arm like he can't process why it's still there. Meanwhile, Zeke's pissed. He grabs this big idiot by the collar and lifts him off the ground. Have you completely lost your goddamn mind? Sure, the test was extreme, but what if Zeke had been the type to go back on his word? Liam would have thrown everything away for nothing. But Liam was ready to go that far because there was something way more important to him than his own arm. Zeke drops him and gives him a cold stare. Do something that's stupid again and you're out. I don't care how loyal you are. The stress finally leaves Liam's face. Those harsh words mean he's staying. But there's still one problem. We need to get you to the nurse. Can't have my guy walking around looking like a one-eared freak. After getting patched up, Liam is invited to Zeke's private dining hall. He keeps touching his fixed ear, amazed it's back to normal. Turns out Zeke used one of his rare healing potions on him. Liam feels bad about wasting such a valuable item, but Zeke just waves it off. Think of it as an investment. Now that things have cooled down, Zeke asks the real question. What could possibly be more important than your own arm? The answer's simple. His mom. After Jekken threw him away, Liam got news that his mom collapsed with a crazy high fever. She got better, but then these weird rose-like patterns started spreading across her body, draining her strength. Zeke's face goes dark. He recognizes those symptoms. The village healers had no clue what it was or how to cure it. Liam's only hope was Valhalla, because academy students and their families get access to the best doctors on the continent. If he got in, his mom might have a shot. Zeke sighs now he gets it. Without a word, he grabs a pen and starts writing down the symptoms. Red rose-like markings. Recurring fevers. He knows this disease way too well. In 5 years, the entire central continent will get wrecked by the rose plague, a crazy contagious illness with a brutal kill count. Tons of people will die before someone figures out a cure. Zeke hands Liam a piece of paper with the medicine recipe that can treat his mother. The steps aren't complicated and the ingredients aren't rare. Any village healer can whip it up. Liam's confused but relieved. How is this even possible? Village experts who spent their whole lives studying medicine couldn't figure it out. Yet this young swordsman just casually dropped the cure in seconds. In the future, these genius alchemist brothers will create this treatment and save countless lives. But before they can share it for free, the Alchemist Association will hog it all, selling it at insane prices. Eventually, the brothers will leak the recipe to everyone. Obviously, Zeke can't explain all this, so he just says, I know a solid alchemist. With the cure in hand, Liam technically has no reason to join Valhalla or stick with Zeke anymore. His biggest problem just got solved, but Liam doesn't see it that way. He stands up, looking dead serious. He's a man of his word, and he promised to dedicate his life to serving Zeke. He takes a knee and swears he's loyal for life. After spending the whole day trying to push this big fool away, hearing the future mercenary king pledge his loyalty is actually pretty reassuring. Zeke accepts with one final warning, don't fall behind, or I'm leaving your ass. Meanwhile, in Dean Howard Draker's office, Owen Zimmons shows up with a wild proposal. We should crank up the difficulty of this semester's exams. The dean raises an eyebrow. It's not every day a student asks for something like this. Owen apologizes if he sounds cocky but explains his thinking. This year's freshmen are unusually stacked with candidates from big families and 2 pure-blood awakeners. If the exam stays at last year's level, it won't properly test what they can do. Howard thinks it over and gives a small nod. The kid's got a point. Owen bows and bounces. The dean leans back, staring out the window. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Owen Zimmons is already thinking way ahead. Just like that guy, spotting future problems and handling them before they even pop up. So a few days later, it's exam time, dungeon exploration baby. All the freshmen are standing outside these creepy-ass ruins, ready to jump in. Here's how it works. You get paired up with someone, thrown into a random dungeon, and you have to escape before time runs out. Each dungeon's got different difficulty levels, and naturally Zeke and Liam got stuck together. Even though they're all geared up and ready to go, Liam's looking nervous as hell. Zeke peeps it and drops some wisdom. Look, being nervous is normal. Just don't let it screw you over. Too much stress, you make dumb mistakes. Getting too relaxed, you get sloppy. Around them, some students are chatting and hyped up, while others are just standing there in awkward silence. Then this guard yells out, Zeke Draker and Liam Stone. They step forward, heading toward the closest entrance, but right before they can walk in, some sketchy dude in black gloves blocks their path. Hold up, the guy says. Then an armed academy guard points toward a different door, one all the way across the room. You've been assigned to that dungeon. Zeke's eyes flicker toward the guard, and he instantly knows something's up. The man's expression is way too stiff, like he's hiding something shady. Zeke just sighs. Whatever trap this is, he's confident he can handle it. Now here's the deal with these exams. Each group gets 96 hours to escape. That's the real enemy time. Yeah, combat skills get graded, and you can rack up extra points by dragging back monster heads. But none of that means jack if you don't make it out before the clock hits 0. Fail to escape? Automatic L. Inside the dungeon, the first stretch of their journey is surprisingly chill. It's just a long walk through some ancient ruins. After a while, they finally stop to rest. Bellies full, nothing trying to kill them. Perfect time to catch some sleep. Weirdly enough, even though he's the underling, Liam's the one telling Zeke to sleep first, since the young lord did everything, set up camp, cook the food, all of it. But Zeke just waves him off, saying with his current body he can go 4 days without sleep. Seriously, I could stay up the whole exam. Liam knows better than to argue with this dude, so he drags his massive frame into the tent and crashes hard. Now alone, Zeke sits by the fire, zoning out. It's been 16 hours since they entered the dungeon, and he'd been training nonstop for 3 days before the exam even started. That means our boy has been awake for nearly 90 hours straight. His infinite stamina keeps his body moving, but it does absolutely nothing for his mental exhaustion. And in a dungeon where danger can pop up from literally any shadow, losing focus even for a second could get you killed. The eerie silence drags on, and he can feel the exhaustion creeping in, messing with his head. He wants to wake Liam and switch out, but then he makes the worst possible mistake. He dozes off. His dreams drag him back to those freezing-ass plains up north, where the Emperor's red flag was basically a giant middle finger symbolizing cruelty and bloodshed. A woman's corpse lies in front of him, her blood spreading across the snow in this horrifying contrast that burns itself into his memory. Zeke's eyes snap open, breathing hard, body drenched in sweat. For a second, he just sits there frozen, half expecting the nightmare to bleed into reality. But nah, the fire's still crackling, and the dungeon's still quiet. It was just a dream. Still, he'd rather fight a whole army of monsters than relive that memory again. Then something catches his attention. A sound. One of his bell traps just went off. Zeke's senses kick into overdrive. He grabs his water bottle and quickly douses the fire, drowning everything in darkness. Liam, wake the hell up. As Liam stirs, Zeke presses his back against the wall, carefully scoping out the situation. Then this nasty smell hits him sharp and rank. Sulfur. His mind immediately connects the dots. There's only one creature that reeks like that. A hellhound, a monster that hunts in packs, ranked at danger level 3. But here's the thing. In his past life during this exact exam, the top student, Reyna, had hunted an orc. Zeke had never heard of a dungeon with hellhounds in it. Something's not adding up. He waits for the beast to show up, but it never does. Instead, he notices something even weirder. An alpha hellhound should weigh a few hundred kilos tops. But judging by the deep rumbling echoes bouncing off the cave walls, whatever's coming weighs several tons. Using his blade like a mirror, Zeke carefully angles it around the corner. His quick thinking saves his ass, just in time to spot the incoming freight train of a monster barreling straight at them. With pure brute force, the beast crashes through the door and walls like they're made of paper. The shockwave sends Zeke flying, but he twists midair and lands perfectly on his feet. Liam rushes to his side, eyes wide in full panic mode. But Zeke, he just curses under his breath. The Zimmons. In that split second before impact, he'd spotted something, a trinket tucked into the Academy Guard's uniform, a specific symbol tied to the Zimmons family. So that's how it is. He expected some shady moves, but this is beyond dirty. The hellhound he was expecting, already dead, its head cleanly sliced off. A massive troll is just casually holding it as its war trophy. Zeke's eyes narrow. They didn't send hellhounds, they skipped straight to using trolls as hired killers. Liam meanwhile is frozen in pure terror. Trolls are rank 1 monsters that are at least 2 levels higher than the usual difficulty of these tests. Liam finally snaps out of it and steps up with his sword, telling our boy, "I'll hold it off. You run." Zeke just laughs, and then he pushes Liam aside and says, "Don't ever say dumb things like that again. I don't ditch my people when it matters." Then adds, "Don't believe in me. Believe in yourself." Because Liam's not weak. Zeke knows it. As a test, Zeke hangs back and lets Liam cook. The moment he does, Liam's stress evaporates and he goes in. They rush the troll from both sides, slicing it up in sync. Zeke's deliberately holding back to match Liam's pace. And honestly, our boy's landing clean hits on the troll's tough-ass skin, and even targeting the joints. But Liam's still green. One mistake and the troll's spiked club nearly turns him into paste. Zeke instantly closes the gap, blocks it like it's nothing, and slices the weapon clean in half. Liam stumbles back, apologizing, but Zeke's like, "Nah, you killed it for your first real fight." Now the troll's pissed, weaponless, and ready to throw hands. Before Liam can mess up again, Zeke steps in. "Alright, I'm ending this." So our boy Zeke just absolutely demolished this troll in like 2 seconds flat. The poor bastard didn't even know what hit him before he was turning into ground beef. The kill nets Zeke 30 karma points, which is pretty solid, plus it'll boost their exam score. While Liam's busy harvesting whatever useful bits he can from the corpse, Zeke gets hit with a new system notification. Hunt 100 monsters from 10 different species in 72 hours. The reward? Double karma points on every kill plus 2 mystery boxes. Our boy sees that word double, and his eyes literally light up with greed. He's already doing the math in his head. Now killing 100 monsters in 79 hours? Easy mode. The real problem is finding 10 different species when most dungeon exams only have like 4 types max. But then Zeke remembers, oh yeah, the Zimmon bastards rigged this whole place trying to get him killed, which means they probably stuffed it with all kinds of high-tier monsters. Joke's on them though, because that's exactly what he needs right now. So while he's got to juggle this quest, survive, and score well on the exam, Zeke's like, yeah, I got this. After Liam finishes looting, they head deeper into the dungeon. Time to hunt. Cut to a montage and things are moving fast. A pack of burning wolves wiped out. 56 hours left. A goblin nest absolutely farmed. The kill count's skyrocketing, and their loot bags getting heavy as hell. 39 hours remaining. Then they face off against this giant bat with sonic attacks that could rupture your eardrums, but they take it down too. For the past 2 days, it's been the same routine: kill, camp, rest, repeat. By the final day, they've racked up enough kills to secure a solid exam score. They're chilling by the campfire when Zeke asks Liam how he's handling real combat. Liam, humble as always, scratches his head, saying he feels like he's got a long way to go. Which, yeah, nobody gets used to all this bloodshed overnight. That's pretty normal. But Zeke's got bigger problems. The timer's running out, and he's sitting at 99 monsters from 9 different species. He needs one more species, but can't find it anywhere. He's been so desperate he's even tried killing leeches and finger-sized bugs, but the system's like, nah, doesn't count. Zeke's getting frustrated because these damn Zimmons went out of their way to fill this dungeon with powerful monsters to kill him, but somehow couldn't do it properly enough to give him that 10th species. Then suddenly Zeke's spidey sense goes off, and the ground starts shaking like crazy, with rocks bouncing everywhere. Liam's looking around, all confused as the tremors get worse, cracks spreading across the floor, the whole damn cavern's shaking. Zeke knows exactly what this means. He books it toward Liam, drawing his sword mid-sprint, screaming, "Drop the bag and move," but Liam's too slow. Zeke shoves him out of the way right as something massive bursts through the ground. Blood goes everywhere, painting the whole cavern red. Liam's brain just shuts down, full panic mode, when he sees Zeke's sleeve all torn up and his left arm looking like it went through a meat grinder. He rushes over, but Zeke just waves him off like it's nothing. "Chill, it's not even my blood." Turns out our boy had the big brain play to push Liam and counterattack at the same time. Then the real problem crawls out of the hole, a massive nightmare-fueled dungeon worm. Liam's throat goes dry because these things normally need 8 purple knights just to take down. This was the Zeman's ace in the hole, their final screw-you trap. Liam's frozen, watching this tunneling monstrosity tear through the cavern like a runaway train. He wants to help but knows the harsh truth: he'd just get in the way and probably die. So instead, he starts frantically digging through their supplies, looking for anything that might help. Meanwhile, Zeke's going absolutely nuts, deflecting hundreds of razor-sharp fangs flying at him from every angle. The worm's literally eating through the earth as it moves, which means they're on a ticking clock. If Zeke doesn't end this quick, they're either getting buried alive or turned into human sushi. The monster lunges again, drilling through solid rock. Zeke sidesteps at the last possible second, ducking just inches from getting pancaked. Now he's got an opening. When the worm surfaces for air, Zeke lunges hard, jamming his blade deep into its nasty, pulsating gut. The strike hits, but it's not enough to kill it. He grits his teeth and rips the sword through its flesh, carving it wide open. Purple bile and blood just explode from the monster's mouth, splattering everywhere. The thing's thrashing like crazy, but Zeke's not done. The man is in full murder mode now. Just as he's about to land the killing blow, the ground beneath him gives out. He stepped on a hollow section, totally throwing off his balance. The worm sees its shot and wraps around him like a giant anaconda. The pressure's insane. Zeke feels his bones creaking and organs getting squished. He coughs up blood as the worm keeps squeezing tighter, trying to snap him like a twig. Then, out of nowhere, a sword stabs into the worm's hide. Liam straight up ignored orders and charged in anyway, stabbing the beast to pull aggro. The attack doesn't kill it, but it makes the worm loosen its grip just enough. Zeke's auto-heal kicks in, patching up his busted organs, and that's all the opening he needs. He twists free, does this sick flip through the air, and lands at a safe distance. "Liam, what the hell did you just do?" Zeke asks. Liam holds up his sword, explaining he coated it with anesthetic. Zeke's eyes go wide because the main ingredient in that anesthetic is belladonna, which for worms is basically instant death poison. Despite all the pressure and chaos, Liam remembered the worm's weakness and adapted on the spot. This right here, proof of his natural talent. A glimpse of the mercenary king he's going to become one day. Respecting the clutch play, Zeke decides to let Liam in on the final attack. Fully healed up, he explodes forward at max speed, literally running up the worm's massive body to yank out his embedded sword. He locks eyes with Liam and gives the signal. Liam grits his teeth, pouring everything he's got into one last stab, pumping more belladonna poison into the monster. The worm crashes down hard, spasming like it's having a seizure. That's Zeke's cue. He activates Soul Manifestation. His blade lights up with this sick purple aura. One clean, smooth slash, and the dungeon worm is cut clean in half. The corpse drops, twitching a few times before going completely still. Zeke lands looking cool as hell, while system notifications start flooding his vision. Quest complete. All his karma points just doubled like promised. Plus he got 2 random loot boxes. Current balance 780 karma points, and a whole lot of options to play with. The scene shifts, and now we are outside the dungeon. All the cadets are lined up waiting to hear if they passed or not. The instructor walks up looking all serious, and tells everyone who made it out alive to step forward, for scoring everyone else can bounce. When Raina's name gets called, she steps up and the instructor starts reading off his stats. "You escaped. That's 30 points. Plus you murked 20 goblins, 2 hobgoblins, and an orc. Total, 180 points. The whole crowd goes silent. Like this dude just came within 20 points of Abel's legendary 200-point record, and Abel's pure-blooded royalty. Everyone's shook because Turan passed by a fat margin of 130 points. Next up is Owen, and he gets told he scored 120/70 above the minimum. The instructor's like, not bad, but you can tell Owen's just okay with it, nothing crazy. Meanwhile, Owen's standing off to the side watching everything go down, and he's got this whole internal monologue about how if Reina becomes a problem, they'll deal with him the same way they dealt with Zeke, basically implying they tried to kill him. Then out of nowhere, someone speaks up all casual, man, how long has it been since I saw sunlight? Everyone turns around and there's Zeke walking out from behind some rocks, casually carrying a severed monster head like it's a grocery bag. The entire crowd loses their shit. People are whispering, how is he alive? Is that a dungeon worm? Wait, wasn't the orc supposed to be the boss? Then Liam steps forward and just drops an urn on the ground without saying a word. Zeke looks straight at Owen with this smug grin and goes, you look surprised. Don't tell me you're actually happy to see me. Owen's jaw clenches and he mutters, cocky bastard. Zeke crouches down, still grinning like a menace, and says, that poker face of yours is way better when it cracks. Owen doesn't even respond. He just turns around and storms off. As he's walking away, Zeke calls out, leaving already? And Owen's muttering under his breath about how purebloods always treat him like trash, and how one day they'll all pay for it. Some cadets are standing there gripping their tokens, not knowing what to think, and Zeke just shrugs and says, terrifying, in the most sarcastic tone ever. Then instructor Andre steps up looking pissed and asks, are you finished showing off? Zeke's like, it's been a while, and Andre pulls on some gloves, ready to do the evaluation. Zeke glances at the worm head and asks if they really need to do all this, but Andre shuts him down immediately, saying as long as he's evaluating, nothing gets skipped. He notices Zeke's collection bag is missing, and Zeke admits he lost it. Andre crouches down and starts inspecting the worm's head super closely, and here's where it gets wild. The worm had actually ambushed Zeke and eaten everything he'd collected over 3 days, so Zeke killed it and took its head as proof. Andre's examining the teeth and finds traces of gremlins, goblins, hobgoblins, hellhounds, orcs, and even a troll stuck in there from previous meals. The whole crowd gasps again. Andre stands up and announces that to keep things fair, he'll only count one of each creature. Then he drops the bomb. Trolls are worth 90 points and worms are worth 180. Zeke's total? 368 points. The place goes absolutely silent because that's an insane score. One dude even asks what the top score was back in their day. But of course, some dude starts screaming about how it's a scam because there's only one corpse. Zeke calmly tells him that one worm head alone is worth 180 points, and asks if any of them really think they'd survive running into a dungeon worm or troll. While he's talking, Zeke's thinking to himself about how people are actually reacting seriously this time instead of mocking him. He realizes Zimmons had to rig the last trial to take him out, and he glances at Owen, knowing he's involved somehow but not working alone. Zeke figures he needs to stay in character and not act too careful, or they'll get suspicious. Then Reina steps forward and says, this time you win. And Zeke's like, what's that supposed to mean? But the scene cuts away. Later in the training hall, Zeke's looking at his status window, and there's this dragon skill called Gluttony available for 50 points. He's got 780 karma saved up, so he activates it. The description changes to explain he can now consume anything and convert it to energy. Plus he can absorb monster abilities. Zeke's hyped because he realizes he should have tried this sooner. He tests it out with some dried meat, and the moment Gluttony activates, the meat gets sucked into this black void like it's being swallowed by a swamp. A message pops up saying his missing energy got replenished, and suddenly Zeke feels completely refreshed. His headache is gone and he's not feeling exhausted. Then he realizes he can regulate the energy cost of all his abilities now, which means no more mental crashes. Combined with infinite stamina, he can literally train 24/7 with no breaks. Just as he's about to start, Decker shows up saying it's urgent. Zeke's sword is ready. Our boy perks up immediately and heads to Galleon. In his past life, Galleon forged him a legendary blade, and this time Zeke gave him a dragon's fang, so he's expecting something equally amazing. But when he actually sees the sword, he stops dead in his tracks and narrows his eyes because what the hell is this? But he decided to check it out anyways, and the first thing he noticed was that this thing looks unfinished. Like, bro, did you forget the last step? He turns to Galleon all confused like, yo, did you just hand me a sword with no edge? You forgot to sharpen this thing or what? But Galleon's completely unbothered, just nods and says, yeah, that's exactly how it's supposed to be. Zeke then looks at it and goes, so this is what you think suits me best? Galleon hits him with a simple yes without even hesitating, and Zeke goes quiet for a second because honestly, most people would be looking at this dull blade like, bro, what? But Galleon just gets it without him having to explain a damn thing. Then Galleon drops another bomb. The sword doesn't even have a name yet. He tried thinking of one, but nothing felt right, so he wants Zeke to name it himself. Now Zeke's caught off guard because back in the day, Galleon forged this legendary blade called Solar Radiance Graham, so he figured this was just Graham 2.0 made from a dragon fang. But holding it now, he realizes this is something completely different. Without warning, our boy just draws the blade straight across his palm, and blood starts pouring out. Galleon's eyes go wide like, bro, what the hell are you doing? But Zeke doesn't even flinch. His healing factor kicks in like usual, then suddenly just stops. A message pops up saying his healing skill got temporarily disabled, and Zeke grins because that means it worked exactly as planned. He channels his mana straight into the blood and lets it coat the blade, and I'm not even joking, the steel literally drinks it in like it's been thirsty for centuries. Galleon's standing there in complete shock, and it suddenly hits him. Wait, is he doing a sword naming ritual? See, this is some ancient forgotten magic from the Age of Dragons that nobody does anymore. You merge your mana into your blood, let it touch the sword, and then you pass out and drift through this timeless dream state until the weapon's true name reveals itself to you. The thing is, this ritual is insanely dangerous. So dangerous the world basically forgot it even existed because people kept dying trying it. Yet here's Zeke performing it perfectly, and Galleon's internally freaking out, thinking, how does this kid even know about this? Zeke's body drops as he falls unconscious, and he finds himself floating in this endless void with an infinite storm of names just swirling around him. He's drifting there searching for the right one when suddenly it clicks. Black Sword Bahamut. A message confirms it got registered and Zeke's eyes snap open. He's back in reality, and there's red mana flickering around the blade like flames. Then it hits him out of literally every name in existence. He chose Bahamut, the name of a pure evil dragon known for destruction. He's like, yo, what is actually wrong with me? Galleon steps forward looking impressed as hell, saying even the dwarves barely remember the sword naming ritual exists, let alone how to perform it. Zeke plays it cool, casually saying he came across it while studying some old dragon history texts. He glances at his wrapped palm and jokes about how it's been forever since he actually needed a bandage for anything. Galleon bows slightly and tells him to rest up while he goes to grab something he's been meaning to give him. While waiting, Zeke realizes he can actually shut off his passive skills now, which is huge, because it means he can hide his abilities whenever he wants, instead of walking around like a walking status screen, revealing everything to anyone with analysis skills. Then he looks at the sword and another message appears saying some features are sealed and will unlock as he gets stronger. Zeke's stunned. He's never heard of a weapon that literally grows with the user, like it's got its own skill tree. Plus, it's completely indestructible and started as a dragon fang, but transformed into something entirely different through the ritual. Blue mana joins the red, both swirling around the blade together now. But what really matters to Zeke is the aura conversion ability, and this is where it gets crazy. See, our boy was born without the ability to use aura at all. Complete genetic Lao, and this sword can convert his raw mana into pure aura, which is what makes it absolutely legendary. As he grips the hilt tighter, the blue mana flares even brighter, and he thinks to himself how this sword is literally what takes him from the purple knight level straight to the red knight tier. Galleon comes back panting, saying he finally found what he was looking for. Then he sees Zeke just standing there surrounded by that glowing aura and stops dead in his tracks with this proud smile, saying Zeke's already surpassed the purple knight level entirely. Zeke looks at the sword muttering, this thing's absolutely ridiculous, giving Galleon props for completely outdoing himself. Galleon laughs it off, saying compared to building that insane dragon furnace, this was the easy part. Then holds out this small metallic scarab thing. Zeke's curious, and Galleon explains his master made it. That's when it clicks. For Zeke, Galleon's master was Galen Jobert, an absolute legend in the smithing world, literally better than even the most famous dwarven smiths. His creations are worth more than entire noble estates. Galleon shows him how it works. You twist the dial on the scarab, and boom, it transforms into a full shield made of mithril and wyvern bone that can block almost anything you throw at it. Twist it again and it folds right back into compact scarab form. Galleon offers it to Zeke, saying it's not nearly enough to repay his kindness, but he hopes he'll accept it anyway. Zeke's like, bro, you know you could have sold this thing and built yourself like 3 new furnaces, right? But Galleon says there's no way he'd sell something his master crafted to just any random person. When Zeke points out it's worth tens of thousands of gold pieces, Galleon's genuinely surprised by the exact number, but just shrugs, saying that's all the more reason he'd be honored if Zeke accepted it as a gift. Zeke takes the scarab and places it on the blade. Instantly, he feels this powerful surge of energy flowing through both items. He realizes this is way more than it looks like on the surface, and thanks Galleon properly, who's just happy our boy likes it. Back at the training hall, Zeke opens up one of his loot boxes and pulls out these heavy dark gauntlets made of meteoric iron, which is rare as hell and nearly impossible to refine properly. A message pops up saying there's a special ability locked on them that requires the full meteoric iron armor set to activate. Zeke realizes these aren't just random loot drops, they came from those surprise quest rewards, and he'd assumed they were just basic treasure chest filler items. Clearly he was dead wrong about that. He turns to the second box, curiosity completely taking over now, flips it open and his eyes go wide. What the hell is this? Robert thought he'd find a kick-ass weapon, but nah, it's just a dusty old map. Before he can even be properly disappointed, the system hits him with a notification saying he just unlocked a map tied to someone called Grandmaster Kaiser. That name's ringing bells, and Zeke's putting 2 and 2 together, realizing this might be connected to the hero King Kaiser. You know, that legendary dude from the old tales about the Knights of the Clock Tower who supposedly founded the entire kingdom of Krons. Most people think that story's complete fairy tale BS, but now Zeke's like, hold up, what if this guy was actually real? Before he can spiral too deep into conspiracy theories, another notification pops up saying analysis complete, and coordinates get marked on his mini-map pointing straight to the giant mountains, which by the way are deep in barbarian territory where nobody sane goes willingly. But Zeke's actually grinning because he recognizes the spot and thinks maybe this won't be the nightmare quest he expected. Then the system goes into full info dump mode. The tutorial's officially over. Thanks to his skills, he's obtained a potential quest item, and he just unlocked achievement quest data. Reading through everything, Zeke starts connecting the dots. This whole tutorial wasn't some baby mode warm-up. It was deliberately designed to build up his stats and abilities for whatever hell's coming next. The final message confirms it. The tutorial for a low-tier administrator is about to begin. Zeke doesn't even flinch because he knows the kid gloves are off now. He checks the reward list and his eyes light up because these rewards are on a completely different level from the trash he's been getting. He cracks his knuckles and opens his status screen, finally ready to spend those points he's been hoarding. The system responds instantly. 50 points get dumped into unlocking level 2. Draconian skills, bro unlocks and upgrades a bunch of skills and saves 400 points for later. Another notification, Draconian skill activated. Zeke looks down and his hand starts straight up morphing into this terrifying scale-covered dragon claw. He decides to test it out and unleashes a burst. The sheer destructive force shocks even him. It's way stronger than anticipated. Then he grabs his sword and activates dragon scale armor. And instantly, these sleek, badass scales ripple across his entire body, forming this protective layer. To test it, this madman swings his blade at full power right at himself, and instead of turning into sushi, the strike just bounces off harmlessly. He didn't even infuse aura into that hit, and it didn't leave a single scratch. To Zeke, this armor's durability is like wearing reinforced plate mail even butt naked. He makes a mental note, Dragon Claw for offense, Dragon Scale Armor for defense. With this newfound power-up, he knows everything's changed, and the real game's about to begin. Cut to Draker Academy's central training hall, where cadets are standing in formation looking nervous as hell, while instructors lay down the law. He gestures toward these humanoid training dummies that aren't your average practice equipment. These things are engineered to tank extreme punishment, and pure physical attacks won't even scratch them. And that's the whole point, because if you can't even leave a mark on your dummy, you automatically fail. And that means back to basic training like a scrub. That announcement hits like a truck, and whispers ripple through the group because nobody wants to restart from scratch after coming this far. The instructor calls out the first name Aaron, and the poor guy steps forward looking shaky but doesn't back down. Owen's watching from the sidelines, and this bastard can't help but mentally flex, thinking how the very foundation of aura instruction at this academy was built by his family, the Zimmons, so even if someone was a born awakener, they wouldn't match his level of control, because bloodline privilege hits different. Then Owen's name gets called. He steps up with total confidence, draws his sword, and starts channeling aura. One student goes, "Wait, is that sword resonance?" One instructor raises an eyebrow, genuinely impressed, saying at 13 that's pretty rare. Another nods like, "Well yeah, makes sense, he's from the Simmon family." Owen barely pauses before slamming his sword into the dummy, shattering it cleanly in one smooth strike. Laughter and applause erupt and pride surges through him as he glances over at Abel with this smug-ass look. The instructor claps once, saying, "Well done, impressive," and Owen's practically glowing as he walks over to Abel, giving him a friendly shoulder pat while starting to say something cocky. But Owen immediately cuts him off, brushing his hand away and telling him not to be so smug because it's just rude and annoying. As the line keeps moving, instructors start noticing something weird even though nobody's outright failing. A bunch of cadets seem rattled, clearly thrown off by Owen's performance setting the bar stupidly high. From the sidelines, Raina's quietly observing, noting that even though every student in the special class can channel aura, only a few actually stand out. She takes a breath and steps forward. "Instructor, I have a request." He turns to her asking what's up, and she says calmly, "I'd like to be evaluated under the dragon-slaying art standard." The instructor's eyebrow shoots up because that grading system is reserved for higher-ranked cadets, and is way stricter, so he asks if she actually knows what she's signing up for. Raina nods, saying she knows that very well but would still like to try. And Owen, this delusional bastard, starts thinking about how ever since she became a pureblood awakener, she's gotten bold, maybe too bold. He knows dragon-slaying arts are another beast entirely, where every strike requires perfect control, balancing aura flow with flawless precision, and one tiny mistake tanks the whole thing. Owen scoffs internally, convinced she'll be lucky to get a few strikes in before her aura burns out completely. He's thinking that she's doing all of this to compete with him. Meanwhile, the instructor asks her once again if she's absolutely sure that she wants to do that because if she fails, it's going to cost her, but she has made up her mind so there is no going back. Then she pulls out her sword and straight up starts destroying the dummies, and after she was done, there was nothing left. Students start chatting among themselves saying how she's just in a league of her own, and this jealous bastard was cursing under her breath. Just then, Raina points her sword at the crowd. He thinks that she's mocking him, but nah, she didn't give a damn about him because she was pointing at our boy. Alright, so Zeke's standing there realizing what Raina just pulled, and he's like, here we go. He knows if he backs down now, this girl's gonna roast him for the rest of his life. So he throws his hand up and says he wants to take the dragon-slaying arts evaluation too. One of the instructors immediately gives him that look like, "Bro, are you serious right now? You think this is some joke just because Raina made it look easy? She's a pure-blood awakener, kid." But before this dude can finish his lecture, another instructor cuts in, saying Zeke's gonna face the exact same conditions Raina did, asking if he's cool with that. Zeke just nods like it's whatever. Off to the side, one instructor's whispering, "Yo, who even is this kid? I've never seen him in class," and the head instructor fills him in. Turns out Zeke won some bet with instructor Andre, and he's that golden light pure blood awakener who came out of nowhere and absolutely demolished Abel's record during the dungeon escape exam. Zeke steps up with his sword, and just as he's about to swing, a system notification pops up saying ether's being converted into aura. Blue energy starts swirling around his blade, and he's gritting his teeth, thinking managing this power surge still isn't easy, but it should do the job. Reina's watching from the sidelines, and her eyes go wide because she immediately recognizes the stance. Dragon Slaying Arts Chapter 1 Verse 4, Sky Slice. She's thinking this bastard didn't just learn it, he's mastered the damn thing, and his form might even be as good as Instructor Andre's. Zeke swings, and the dummies just straight up explode into pieces. In his head, he's reflecting on how this technique isn't something he just picked up. It's literally part of him now. After drilling it non-stop for 2 years before his regression until it became pure muscle memory, he lets out a slow breath, thinking there was a time he thought dragon-slaying arts were boring as hell. But starting from scratch again, it doesn't feel so dull anymore, and maybe that little flex was enough to shake Reina up a bit. The instructors start losing their minds, one pointing out how Zeke coated his blade in aura, another talking about the crazy intensity of that strike, and the whispers keep growing, with some wondering if this kid's already close to Purple Knight rank. Zeke glances down at the wreckage, muttering that he might have overdone it. It seems like some of his aura leaked out without him realizing, and he just wanted to match Reina, not become the main character. One instructor's just staring at the destruction, saying, "A first year's already a Purple Knight," while Owen's watching from the corner, with his fists clenched so tight they're probably bleeding, and Reina's standing there with this creepy-ass smile spreading across her face. The scene cuts to the headmaster's office, where the old man's pouring tea and casually bringing up Zeke's insane exam results. Zeke plays it humble, saying he just got lucky, but the headmaster chuckles like, "Kid, becoming a Purple Knight at 13 isn't luck." Then he drops the real bomb. How would Zeke feel about taking the grade advancement exam? Zeke blinks, realizing that means skipping grades, and the headmaster explains the system allows it when a student's ability justifies it. It could be 1 grade or even more, depending on how well you do. Zeke's thinking the headmaster's moving way faster than he expected, but it makes sense since he made a bigger splash than he planned to, so he accepts with a polite smile, fully knowing he's walking into something sketchy. As he's leaving, he mutters that the headmaster's definitely plotting something, but he'll play along for now. Back inside, the headmaster turns to someone sitting across from him, saying both Reina Draker and Zeke, Draker pure-blooded awakeners, have agreed to take the exam, and the figure nods, saying they'll handle the arrangements, while the headmaster folds his hands with this slight smile, thinking things are about to get real interesting. Cut to the upper-class Aura training hall, where Zeke and Reina are standing side by side, and the vibes tense as hell with Reina just death staring at Zeke. He lets out a quiet sigh, thinking, would it kill you to stop staring? Then a voice calls out, apologizing for being late, and this tall dude in shining armor walks in. Sir Owl Draker, official examiner and knight of the Draker main family. Zeke's whole expression changes the second he sees him, whispering the name and thinking, no way, could it really be him? The one they used to call Dieback Blade. A flashback hits cold night air, the weight of a dead body in his arms, fingers digging into dirt to make a grave. In that memory, another version of Zeke. Zeke Murray walks up and stops, muttering Empire's lapdog before heading to the body and kneeling down with a shovel. He says even if the guy told him not to, he'd still help bury them. Introduces himself as Zeke Murray from the Northern Allied Forces, and then asks if the man's a Draker. The man shakes his head, saying that life's behind him, and Zeke laughs, asking what to call him then. The man answers with dead certainty, Dieback Blade. The memory fades and Zeke's back in the present, whispering that the name fits him way too well. He snaps out of it as the formal stuff begins. Both he and Reina bow deep, saying, Sir Dracour. An instructor steps forward, laying out the exam rules. It follows the alumni cradle method, a sword duel with no time limit that only ends when somebody yields or gets knocked out, so go all out. Reina immediately steps forward, saying she'll go first, but Dieback calmly raises his hand and says there's no need to take turns. They should both come at him at the same time. Hearing that, both Zeke and Reina just stop dead, because hold up, that's not how things normally go down. Zeke looks over at Reina with the most bored expression and tells her to calm down because there's a huge skill gap here, and whether they like it or not, the test is already kicked off. Reina shoots him this look that could kill, but our boy doesn't even flinch. He straight up tells her that running in like an idiot will tank her score. She doesn't say anything back, just stares ahead, getting all serious. And Zeke's hiding this tiny smile, thinking, okay, cool, at least she's not completely stupid. He leans closer, saying they only need one good hit, and he's already figured out how to pull it off. They both get into position. Owen pulls out his sword that looks like a katana, and for some weird reason, Reina's ego took a hit from the whole fight together thing, but her pride isn't going to win this fight. This isn't some honorable showdown or who's got the bigger balls contest. They've got a game plan, so just stick to it. They go in and everything goes crazy instantly, blades smashing together with insane speed and power, metal screaming as they're both going absolutely wild on Dieback at the same time. Reina's grinding her teeth hard, thinking, so this is what actual power feels like, because just like Zeke said, she's been going for weak spots but can't land a single damn hit. Forget about doing real damage. So our boy decides to bust out his dragon-slaying moves, and Reina does the same. Her sword starts glowing with this sick blue mana because this attack needs intent, straight-up murder vibes. She rockets forward, blade slicing through the air, but Dieback just slides to the side smooth as butter, then counters and absolutely wrecks Reina from the side. Her defense crumbles like it was made of paper. blood sprays everywhere, and she eats the ground hard. The instructor loses it, screaming to check if Reina's okay, and she drags herself up, saying she's fine, but warning everyone to get back because this is sketchy as hell. Right then, something clicks in her head. She straight up passed out for a second there, and if she can't even stay awake, how the hell is she going to make an opening? She gets it. Now with what she's got right now, she's got literally zero shot at winning. Reina's eyes get all narrow, looking mad because there's no way she's pulling some cheap move like that. She's not about to trash the honor of a real fight with sneaky tricks. Zeke just shrugs, not caring even a little bit, saying honor doesn't keep food on the table. And this isn't some fantasy night story, it's a test to see if they can actually kill stuff, and then slaps her shoulder like that ends the discussion. Reina lets out this annoyed sigh, remembering she was the one who wanted his help. But does this dude really think just having a plan can beat a monster like Dieback? Zeke's confidence doesn't shake for a second. They're not trying to overpower him, just crack open a tiny window for one good hit. That's literally all they have to do. He brings up their fight back at the cradle, asking why she didn't grab the rope, and Reina glares, thinking back like, I didn't see you pulling that kind of move coming. Exactly, he says, and Dieback won't either, tossing his sword onto his shoulder. Zeke points at her, saying to wait for his signal because it will work just one chance. Then without letting her answer, he bolts like a maniac. The edge of his sword lights up as dragon-slaying moves activate, energy running down the blade like it's catching fire, and Dieback's eyes get serious, spotting the technique that's Sir Dexter's style. Super smoothly, he dodges, but Zeke's smiling, thinking, no more playing nice old man. Their swords crash together and this explosion of light goes off between them. Dieback actually stumbles, jerking back for half a second, catching a flash in the mana. His eyes go huge, recognizing mana inheritance, the pure light of a real awakener flooding the whole damn room in a blinding flash. Dieback mumbles that just blinding him won't cut it, but there's doubt sneaking in. How the hell is Zeke still moving so cleanly inside this spinning darkness? Shadows are swallowing everything, but he's sliding through like the light's still there. Hiding in the pitch black, Zeke lets a tiny smirk show, thinking it's the perfect moment to try out his new dragon skill. Dieback gets tense because this isn't the kind of power a first year should have, but Zeke isn't fighting like one anymore. He looks at Reina, who's still stuck struggling in the dark. Unlike Zeke, she can't see Jack in here, so now he's thinking if all that power Zeke just threw out was really just to mess with his eyes. It's a trick that usually only works on rookies, but then Zeke hits him again, and Dieback barely gets out of the way, except something's weird. Zeke's rhythm hasn't missed a beat. His hits are smooth, smart, and sharp as hell, and then he just disappears into nothing. Dieback spins around looking, but there's zilch, just some faint shape floating like smoke in moonlight with glowing streaks twisting through the shadows. Strange sounds bounce everywhere in the hall, movement coming from all over as Zeke's whole vibe just melts into this flawless trick, and Dieback's clenching his jaw because he can't believe a damn thing his body's telling him. Then Zeke shows up again, sword ready. Eyes chill, smile locked in, and swings. Out of nowhere, alarms start screaming. This loud-ass noise ripping through the hall, and Dieback's brain kicks into gear, spotting some kind of one-shot gadget with simple parts and a small build where the magic inside doesn't need to blow stuff up. Just light and sound that's enough to mess someone up bad. A huge blast goes off, Zeke throws his arms up to block his ears, and Reina makes her play. The noise slams into Dieback like a truck, and he wobbles, hands shooting to his head, spitting out a curse because he didn't take her seriously, and now he's getting wrecked for it. Reina and Zeke charge in together, swords glowing as they drop a technique from Dragon Slaying Earth. Chapter 4 verse 1. Full moon slash and double arcs of energy slice through the air, about to finish this whole thing. So the whole fight's wrapped up now, and people are scrambling with stretchers to haul Reina and Zeke's half-dead asses out of there. Meanwhile, one of the instructors walks up to Owl, patting him on the back like, yo, good workout out there. And just then, Dexter strolls in all casual, looking at Owl and asking, did you really have to go that hard on a couple of kids? Owl immediately drops into this formal bow, greeting the drunk Duke, all proper and respectful. But you know, Dexter man gives zero fucks about formalities. He just slaps a hand on Owl's shoulder and asks him straight up, so how was my disciple? And I swear the look on Owl's face is priceless. Bro's having a whole existential crisis. His mind's racing back to that moment when Zeke literally yeeted his own sword just to block Owl's attack. He's thinking, this kid definitely could have counterattacked. He had the opening, he had the skill, so why didn't he? Then it hits Owl. This little monster was probably only showing techniques he thought were adequate for the fight, like our boy was out here holding back. So Owl gets all serious, looks the drunk Duke dead in the eye and says, that boy is far beyond my capacity to evaluate. Cut to the advancement meeting where the dean's asking all the teachers what they think about promoting Zeke and Reina. And after watching our boy's performance, everyone's voting yes without hesitation. As a result, Reina jumps to 3rd grade, and Zeke skips straight to 5th grade. Now Zeke's already pulled off one crazy stunt after another, so he decides, you know what? Let me chill for a bit and not get on everyone's nerves. During this peaceful era, he learns all the Gale arts from the Dexter, and maintains a solid friendship with Four Eyes, but eventually Bro's just too damn good for this place. The Royal Magic Academy comes knocking, recruiting Four Eyes, so Zeke has to say goodbye to him. Since Zeke's keeping his head down and not causing chaos, the 3 great families leave him alone for once. But Owl, nah, this man's obsessed. He shows up every single quarter asking for a rematch, and just like that, 2 years fly by, and Zeke graduates from the academy. Zeke returned home. Our video ends here. If you liked it, leave your like. See you next time. Bye bye.